Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm and you are watching What If Naruto Disappears for Sakura and Hinata. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
With tears streaming down her pallid face, Hinata collapsed to her knees in amazement. She had maintained her composure in front of her family. She had gained respect from the family council because she had recently become stronger. Her father had begun to feel proud of her as well. All of this was made possible by Naruto Uzumaki, one of the few people who genuinely believed in her. One day, realizing that she wanted to get stronger, he had made the snap decision to assist her in her training. I understand how that feels. And I know for a fact that you only need one person to truly believe in you and to help for that to happen. So let me be that one person. It had been about a year since he had told her that. She had willingly accepted his assistance in order to gain strength and overcome her timidity around him. It was a once-in a lifetime opportunity to get to know him and learn what kind of lady he preferred. She had even improved to the point where she could speak clearly and without stuttering around him and wasn't fainting. But what good is that now? Hinata huddled close to herself as she wailed. She had arrived at a location where no one would discover her, deep within the Konoha forest. She was kneeling now on the damp area of a cave floor. Since Naruto was aware of her aptitude for chakra control, he frequently took her to meditation and chakra control exercises. Just think about it, you're pretty well rounded in your skills. And your chakra control is not only your best skill, but what's necessary for a lot of your family taijutsu. Even if you don't have a monstrous amount of chakra like me, if you're good enough with your control you could be deadly. Naruto, Hinata exclaimed, detesting her frailty and incapacity to tell Naruto the truth. For that now, it was too late. On a mission with Sakura and Kakashi, Naruto had perished. 3 weeks had passed since Hinata last saw him, and she intended to welcome him home. Sakura was trying to appear strong as they returned from their mission without him. His corpse had been destroyed by a lethal fire jutsu, so all they could bring back was his bag of provisions. Kakashi appeared stooped in despair. As Hinata had done in front of her family council, Sakura had been attempting to follow one of the Shinobi laws. In the academy, Iruka had instilled them in their brains. Iruka yelled, "Remember," and tapped his pointer firmly against the board where he had written the rule in big letters. Shinobi Rule number 25. Shinobi never show their emotions. She was still a human, though, despite being a ninja. She had emotions and a heart. She loved, hated, hurt, and became attached. She had never confessed to the love of her life, but now he was dead. She could rely on herself to express her emotions when she was alone herself. Hinata yelled, "Naruto, I apologize for my weakness and cowardice. I let you down." Suddenly, she recalled a vow they had made in this exact cave 4 months prior. "Hinata, we're ninja, so we're bound to have dangerous situations. We may even die while on a mission. Let's promise that we'll always be there for each other. And also, should one of us die on a mission, we won't be sad for too long. We cry for a little while then move on, always remembering the fallen in our heart, being strong their sake. More than anything, we won't seek revenge for each other. I can't stand to see another Sasuke again." She wiped away her tears, forced a steely face, and got to her feet. She would honor her pledge to him. She remembered one particular aspect of that day that she had not specifically taken note of. For some reason, he was flushing. Hinata pondered, could he have been having growing feelings for me? Maybe we were meant to be soulmates after all. She sang a song that spontaneously came to her, her gentle tenor voice resonating pleasingly off the cave walls. Incompatible, although it makes little difference. Because someone will undoubtedly hear me cry. If you do, speak up. You're difficult to locate. Mr. Lovable, is it possible? Is it in my life already? Directly before me, or perhaps you're hiding? Who doesn't want to be held by someone, without being informed, who knows how to love you? Tell me why I'm alone, please, if everyone may find their soul partner. Circles never stop, and here we are one more. How can I locate the ideal fit? Everyone can find plenty, however, I'm still in line. Who doesn't want to be held by someone, without being informed, who knows how to love you? Tell me why I'm alone, please, if everyone may find their soul partner. If everyone may find their soul partner, most partnerships appear to be quite short-lived. They're not the permanent one, but they're all fine. Who doesn't want to be held by someone, without being informed, who knows how to love you? Tell me why I'm alone, please, if everyone may find their soul partner. Who doesn't want to be held by someone, without being informed, who knows how to love you? Tell me why I'm alone, please, if everyone may find their soul partner. If everyone may find their soul partner, she turned to exit the cave, feeling much better now. After a hard day, she would pretend to be exhausted and get to bed early. She was startled to see Sakura and Kakashi waiting outside the cave as she turned to leave. The faintest hint of Kakashi's delighted smile was visible through his mask. Kakashi commanded, "Hinata, come with us." Sakura handed Hinata a piece of paper, which she accepted with shaking hands, saying, "It concerns Naruto. It's very important." "Hinata, I'm still alive. If you're reading this, I'm sure you'll be crying when you hear of my death, because we're so close. Don't, please. I'm okay, just a little hurt. In order to finish a top secret operation, I pretended to be dead. To prove that I'm still alive, I want to see you, and I know you'll want to see me. Sakura and Kakashi. Sensei aren't making fun of you. To be honest, I don't think I can do my mission by myself. Sunade. Ba. Chan abruptly ordered me to choose a partner, and she would make arrangements for that individual to be available. For this task, I would like you to be my partner. I believe in your abilities and know that I can entrust you with my soul, my life, and my most private secrets. You may turn this down. Sakura can lead you to where I am if you agree to follow her. Sunade. Ba. Chan will hear from Kakashi. Sensei that you're agreeing. If not, pretend to deal with my death and put on a brave front. It will be until the assignment is over before I can see you. Wait for me. I'll be hoping for a hero's welcome. In any case, I'll see you shortly. I apologize for misleading you. However, this is required. I am unable to speak more at this time. In any case, Hinata, I promise you today that I will come back. On that, you have my word. You are aware that I never break my word. Sincerely yours, Uzumaki Naruto. That idiot. Hinata cursed quietly as her tears began to flow again. Of course I'll accept this mission. We'll go the distance together. Sakura cracked a grin. Then follow me, I said. Sakura. He's not far. Oh, one more thing. This must not go beyond us. In other words, an S-class secret. Is that understood? Hinata gave a grave nod. Kakashi went back to Konoha to inform Sunade that Hinata was agreeing, saying, "Good. We're clear to continue then." Meanwhile, Sakura guided Hinata farther into the forest. "Finally, we're here," she said. "Kakashi. Sensei will arrange for your absence. This mission has a lot of requirements, so you won't be able to go home for a while. We'll get you everything you need." Hinata stumbled. I understand," she said. Sakura said, "Naruto, we're coming into the tunnel they had reached. You stay where you are. If I find that you moved in your condition, I swear that I'll punch you into the wall." A heavy moan came from the cave's interior. Hinata laughed. During her time practicing with Naruto, she had heard that moan multiple times. "Wah, Hinata?" said Naruto. Sakura gently pulled Hinata into the cave and said, "Come on." "Naruto," Hinata exclaimed with relief. He had taken off his shirt and was sitting against the cave wall. His right shoulder and torso were bandaged. He had his pants leg rolled up and his left ankle supported up. She moved to his side and took a seat next to him, saying, "Thank goodness. You really scared me. How are your injuries?" "Fine," demanded Naruto. "We had been planning to fake my death. The fire jutsu wasn't part of the plan though." Naruto sighed. "But we still had a safe place prepared here, so they brought me here just the same. We couldn't very well have a supposedly dead guy alive and recovering in the hospital," Sakura gasped. Saying, "Well, you both played your parts splendidly," Hinata gave them praise. Kakashi. Sensei looked really genuine, with how he hunched up his shoulders. Really good acting. Sakura pivoted to give Naruto a fierce look. Sakura complained. "It wasn't acting," she said. "That boy is heavy." Kakashi. Sensei knew an invisibility jutsu and placed it over Naruto so we could sneak him into the village. Naruto had to hold on his own and keep quiet. Naruto was chuckling uncomfortably. Thankfully his injuries were mitigated though. The reason the fire jutsu didn't completely incinerate him was that he had just gotten completely soaked. "Brr," said Naruto. "That water was cold. First extreme cold, then extreme heat. All within a few seconds, he was shaking. The extreme opposites one after another stunned him, resulting in his ankle injury," Sakura said. "It's only a serious sprain, and it's almost completely healed. 2 more days of rest and you two will be starting your mission." That was all well with them both. Knowing that they will soon be alone yet still have each other, they went to sleep. If they had that on their side, they could overcome anything. Naruto and Hinata had never talked about the task, but 2 days later they were ready to begin. However, they weren't thinking about it just now. No, Their thoughts were focused on their new appearance. Given that Naruto was believed to be dead, they had both changed. He also had a really unique appearance. Naruto stood out like a sore thumb in his bright orange attire while everyone else wore black, subdued, or soft hues. However, so were his hair and eyes. One of the things Hinata admired most about him was his brightness. "Gah, this doesn't look right," Naruto groaned as he finished assembling his new ensemble to wear. Since there wasn't much privacy in the cave, two shadow clones wearing blindfolds held a dark blanket between the two changing areas. Similarly, another dark blanket was draped over the cave entrance by two shadow clones wearing blindfolds. "There's no brightness to it. I wish I didn't have to blend in," Hinata declared. "Naruto, I'm done changing." "Same here," answered Naruto. He chased the shadow clones away. Quickly, the blindfolds and blankets dropped to the floor. Naruto gave Hinata a knowing smile as she flushed at the comment. "Well, at least your new look is good on you." She had lost her original shoes and had to wear knee-high ones instead. Her waist and upper legs were covered by loose, black knee-length shorts that were secured with a plain ribbon. Her jacket and shirt were swapped out for a form-fitting, half-sleeved purple shirt. She had a clip in place for her lengthy hair. We're supposed to be entirely different people. We need to do something about your eyes. The Hyuga clan only has a presence here in Konoha and we aren't supposed to be from Konoha. You look good as well. I definitely prefer the orange on you, but this looks just as good. It complements your skin tone," said Hinata to him. Naruto gave a shrug. His clothes has changed from bright orange to full-length black pants. His bottom eggs were still tightly encased with the weights he had begun employing a few years prior. He had armored bracers on his lower arms and a forest green muscle shirt on his chest. Both wore blank headbands in place of their Konoha ones. As he entered, Kakashi asked from the doorway, "Do you guys remember your story?" He threw something at Hinata and Naruto. "Yep, we do," Naruto said, putting on the dark glasses that Kakashi had thrown him. Until they were securely outside the confines of Konoha, he would wear these. It turned out that the tiny box Hinata had been thrown contained contacts. Hinata inserted them with ease, and Naruto was startled to discover that Hinata's eyes had turned brown. He blinked. "Wow, that's different, but a good different." Kakashi asked, "What's your story then?" "I'm Mariko, and this is my half-brother Darun. We only have the same father, whom we're currently trying to find." Hinata's response was spot on. Darun was abandoned by his mother, which was why he was raised by mine. She died 6 months ago, and we want to let him know the bad news. But he's extremely crafty and sly, which is why it's taking so long to find him. But it was our mother's dying wish that we find him, so we aren't giving up. "Perfect," remarked Kakashi with a smile. He handed her a bag, which she put over her shoulders. "Hinata, you have more contacts in your bag. The money's also in your bag. And your father wishes you luck on your mission." Naruto took on his. "From this point on, you two are no longer Konoha ninja, but wandering ninja on the search for your family. I'll be keeping an eye on Naruto's apartment. So good luck and hurry back." He smiled and walked out of the cave. Hinata inquired about their goal as they began to follow the route Kakashi had shown for them, the one that would allow them to leave Konoha covertly. "On the road, I'll tell you," Naruto said. "Less chance of being overheard. As it is, this is the secret gate used by undercover agents of Konoha we're leaving from." Hinata grinned. In her eyes, the contacts felt strange. She questioned whether they would have an impact on how she used her Byakugan. They formally left Konoha 2 hours later. After taking off the dark glasses, Naruto threw them to Hinata. "I can tell that your contacts are bothering you. If they get too bad, take them out and wear those instead," said Naruto. With a grateful smile, Hinata placed the glasses in one of her bag's side pockets. "Now, you asked about the mission." Hinata responded, "Yeah, what is the objective of the mission?" It's actually not a big threat right now, but it has a good possibility of causing problems for Konoha, so we're solving this now," Naruto said. "Actually, it's more like an internal dispute within my family. Quite a bother, but one of my family members already tried to kill me once. I have enough people after me, so I don't need another one." Hinata asked, "Wait, family?" Naruto laughed and said, "I thought you were an orphan." "When I was an orphan, I wanted a family. Now I have a family and one of them wants me dead. The gist of it this. My dad's older sister had a dispute with the family and left, and now that there is the guarantee of me inheriting, she wants to stop me from inheriting and inherit herself. It sounds like a huge sibling dispute to me. Either way it needs to be solved," Naruto lamented. Sounds fun, said Hinata mockingly. And we're heading where now? My mom's family. My dad left his personal will with them, because it pertains specifically to me. He didn't trust Konoha enough apparently to make sure I got it. And my dad's family is all but gone, so he left it there with them. They're still waiting for me to come get it. I just need to go get it there, Naruto replied nonchalantly. And this will solve the problem entirely. After taking a locket out of his backpack, Naruto gave it to Hinata. She opened it as they drove down the street. There were 2 photos in there. One involved a lady and a male. Hinata narrowed her eyes so she could see them well. The woman's red hair was lengthy. Her eye color was invisible. However, she had one arm on the man's bulging tummy and the other around his waist. She was expecting a child. The man's blonde hair was short and spiky. He was kneeling beside the woman, stroking her tummy with one hand and one shoulder. They both appeared quite content. The identical pair was depicted in the opposite image, with the exception that the lady was wearing a hospital gown and carrying a healthy baby boy. The infant was attempting to inspect the camera by moving closer to it. Hinata was looking at the photos when Naruto said, "That was taken just after I was born. My mom's name was Kushina. She died shortly after I was born, due to complications caused by the 9 tails attacking on the same day. I have her last name, since my father apparently had a lot of enemies and he didn't want me targeted. He too died on the day the 9-tailed fox attacked." They look so happy, Hinata said as she returned the locket. I talked to someone who was a friend of my mom's. They were really looking forward to seeing me grow, so proud that they finally had a child of their own. They had spent quite a lot of time and effort outfitting a nursery for me. But the house was destroyed in the attack, Naruto said with a serious expression on his face. I wish they could have lived. I bet they would have been good parents to be proud of. Hinata attempted to recall where she had previously seen the man saying, "That man looked familiar. I can't place from where though. I feel I should know his face." Naruto informed her, "He should be. He's one of the bravest shinobi Konoha ever saw. We talked about him all the time in academy. Student of the Jiraiya of the Sannin, teacher to Kakashi. Sensei. Minato Namikaze." Hinata burst into tears. His face conveyed the statement, "My father lived and died as a hero. No son could be prouder." You're happy despite all of these family issues, Hinata recognized. My whole life I thought I was a nobody, a son of a nobody. I had no family history, nothing. Now it feels like my identity, both as a ninja and a person, is a little more complete, said Naruto. As he traveled down the deserted road, his expression was one of pure contentment. It's very relieving actually. A weight off my shoulders. Once I meet my mom's family, I would like to stay there for a while. Or make plans to go back. You know, to get to know them. Won't they think you're just a ghost or something? You're supposed to be dead, Hinata asked. To which Naruto answered, "Nah, they set up security questions and stuff, and they know I'm a ninja. But my dad's family won't be able to even open it. It has a blood seal on it, with my blood taken at birth. And since my body was incinerated to ash, no blood left." He laughed. "So they're going to not want to believe I'm dead, and continue searching. But they won't be able to find me. And if they do, they won't beat me down. So it's pretty much assured that I find my father's will and see it through." "But they'll still try," added Hinata. Naruto gave a nod. Naruto exclaimed, "But they can't beat us if we're together," with a sense of triumph. "I not only picked you because I can trust you with absolutely anything, but I know you're strong. There's no one that can stop us now. And you have one vital ability that will be a great help to us." Hinata was perplexed. He gestured at his eyes. "Oh," chuckled Hinata. "I suppose you're right." Using shadow clones to expedite the task, Naruto left Hinata alone at the camp to gather water and firewood that evening when they paused to set up camp. Hinata had the fire pit ready by the time he got back. "Hinata, observe the impact on your eyes," Naruto recommended. Hinata's Byakugan sprang to life. When the contacts were activated, they caused her eyes to pain, and she started to cry. Naruto held her as she staggered and her eyes began to water. "You should take them out and just keep your eyes hidden. We won't have the time to stop and take them out in a fight." After removing the contacts and deactivating the bloodline characteristic, Hinata cleared her eyes. "Ouch," she silently said. Concerned, Naruto inquired, "You okay?" "I'm fine," Hinata assured them of. She took the dark glasses out of her purse and put them on, testing her Byakugan, saying, "I'll just have to make a mental note to never wear contacts again. They don't mix well with my eyes." She was thrilled to observe that even with the glasses on, they continued to work freely and normally. "It still works normally with the glasses on. I'll just wear them and say I have really sensitive eyes." Naruto said to her, "That's good to hear, Hinata, can you be honest with me about something?" "Of course." Naruto inquired gravely, "Are you happy at home? Really, are you happy with how your life is now? I have to know." Hesitantly, Hinata stated, "My relationship with my family is still strained, it's a lot better than it was before, but they're watching me very carefully. One mistake could send it all downhill." She was informed by Naruto, "That's another reason I wanted you to come on this mission. I could see that you weren't completely happy, so I thought maybe you could use some time away from home. We shouldn't have any serious problems on this mission. It's just going to meet some people and pick up some papers, albeit highly wanted papers which could mean absolutely anything for Konoha. So maybe some time with one of your friends away from the source of stress would be nice. Did I do right?" "Yes, you did," answered Hinata. Naruto smiled, happy to have witnessed everything and taken action. She gave him a hug and said, "This is exactly what I needed. Thank you." At the contact, Naruto flushed a little. In order to give Hinata some rest, Naruto took the first watch. "There is yet hope," she pondered happily. "Naruto has not blushed while hugging other girls. However, he did it for me. I might end up being liked by Naruto. I'm hoping this isn't my imagination. Nevertheless, it is sufficient that he is such a nice buddy. But if we could be more than just buddies, that would be great." She rolled over and dozed off, giggling quietly. The last conscious thought she had was, "I should inform him soon." Naruto approached and further covered Hinata as she fell asleep with a faint smile on her face. He also brushed a few hairs out of her face. Whispering, "Sleep well, my angel," he wished. "When this mission is over, I'll ask you out properly. So hopefully you'll be able to put up with the idiot that I am until then." Hinata put out their fire and reduced the indications of their presence the following morning. Naruto suggested, "We should get into character." Hinata took a piece of gauze from her bag and remarked, "Okay. But I had an idea for my eyes." She bandaged her eyes and took off her spectacles. "I was in an accident a year ago and lost my sight, so I bandaged them to keep people from staring at my scars and learned how to fight without my sight. This won't come off in a fight so easily and it still lets me see, while hiding signs shown while using that." Hinata's use of that made sense to Naruto. Byakugan, she meant. He also told her that he appreciated the notion she had with her eyes. In order to make their stories fit, they began their journey that day. Canyon, their father, was a nomadic ninja. He enjoyed traveling, frequently becoming wasted and sleeping with others while on his extensive travels. As a result, he had multiple children from various women. Naruto was taken in by Tenyo, who had recently given birth to Mariko, when his mother, Lenya, abandoned him in a random village not long after he was named. Mariko was still a baby at this point, and he was already about 2 years old. As a result, Mariko and Darun were raised together, had complete faith in one another, and are only who they are now because of their upbringing. Together, they had gotten into and out of trouble while supporting one another's development. Tenyo passed away 6 months ago, but even though Canyon had abandoned her and their kid, she continued to love him right up until the end of her life and even left him a gift after she passed away. Mariko and Darun have been tasked with locating and delivering this canyon. Furthermore, neither of them desired to visit the father who had left them. But they had consented to fulfill their mother's final request. Tenyo was like a mother to Darun. Nevertheless, Naruto found it unsettling to watch Hinata moving down the street unaided and wearing a blindfold. She felt as though she may trip over a rock at any moment and land on her face. However, it seemed that she was not experiencing any issues. After deciding that Darun would be an expert in taijutsu and ninjutsu, Naruto himself had removed the weights. He was quick, but not nearly as quick as Lee. He didn't believe anyone could match that man's speed. Mariko was an expert in taijutsu, concentrating more on blind fighting than any other style. But seeing ninja from Konoha was the last thing they had anticipated when they passed through a town on their way to Naruto's aunt's house. The sun was sinking in the evening. Naruto muttered, "Change your voice," into her ear. Hinata nodded and said, "Familiar faces. They mustn't recognize us. It's also crowded, so stick close to me and stay in character. I'm going to replenish our food supply. I don't when we'll be in a town again." Naruto guided his sister to the neighborhood market while posing as Darun. Refusing to flush, she held on to his arm. "Naruto and I are very close," Hinata jolted in thinking. She felt like his girlfriend because of the way they were walking together. With Hinata on his arm, Naruto brushed past Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji and said, "Excuse us. Today, which was presumably market day in this town, was packed." Ino's foot protruded from the rest of her body, and Hinata stumbled over it. Naruto grabbed her after she stumbled. With a quick I'm so sorry. Ino grabbed Hinata's other arm and assisted Naruto in getting her to stand up. I didn't see you coming. Is your friend okay? Mariko's fine, a smiling Naruto insisted. When Hinata heard Ino's voice, she almost squeaked. With the bandage over her eyes, she could see, but not clearly. Ino asked, is that injury recent? I'm a medical ninja, so I may be able to help. Hinata said, my accident happened a year ago, in a little quieter tone than normal. She smiled, her words not entirely false, and said, my big brother Darun likes to make sure I'm okay, even though I'm capable of taking care of myself. But I love his company all the same. Choji questioned impolitely, how do you fight blind? With a frown, Ino struck him over the head. You're a wandering ninja, right? Ino reprimanded, don't be so rude, I'm sorry about him. He's a bit blunt at times, when his mind is not on food. According to Hinata, oh, it's fine, Darun helped me create a fighting style that doesn't depend on my sight. My vision may be gone, but my other senses have improved thanks to this and I fight using those. Shikamaru pondered, I've never met a wandering ninja, do you guys have something particular that you're doing? Or just wandering, as your profession entails? Darun happily informed them, we're actually looking for our father. To maintain appearances, they should still ask around if they were seeking for someone. Ino was looking at Naruto with wide eyes and said, he's kind of a vagrant, but it was our mother's last wish we find him and give him something. She loved him until the end. He questioned her, is there something on my face? Oh, sorry, Ino replied hastily, turning her head away. You just look almost exactly like a friend of ours who just died. His death hit a lot of people hard. Naruto did not speak. It's just me being silly. A part of me likes to think that Naruto couldn't have died so easily. The guy was insanely strong. She chuckled nervously. Assuringly, I'm sorry about your loss, Mariko said. It sounds like he was very important to a lot of people. We just recently lost our mother, so we can understand that pain. Shikamaru said, anyway, we should get going, as she glanced at a clock on the wall of there. As Shikamaru said, Naruto placed some food in his arms and said, we're not but 2 days from home. If we're going to get home in time for Naruto's funeral, we need to get on the road now. Ino shouted out, good luck on your mission, as Shikamaru pulled her away. Ino's squad vanished from sight after saying, if you're ever in Konoha, look me up. I'll see if I can help you find your father. Maybe he stopped by in our home village. After paying for their meal, they departed from the packed booth. He placed the food in their bag as Naruto and Hinata arrived at the public park. With a groan, Naruto closed Hinata's bag. That was intense, he said. She wasn't supposed to be able to see where the bag was or how to stuff it correctly because she was meant to be blind. Hinata put a hand on Naruto's shoulder and said, didn't think that would happen. She was putting a gentle reminder to stay in character while also expressing sympathy for him. At least I still have you. He located a respectable inn where they would spend the night. A hauntingly beautiful flute played from an adjacent room as Hinata drifted off to sleep that night, lulling her into a peaceful sleep. Hinata, it's time to wake up. Immediately awake, Hinata moved over in her sleep and sat up. Fully clothed, Naruto stood next her bed. He carried his luggage on his shoulders. He appeared to be prepared to leave. Well, you coming or not? The words, I'm coming, Hinata promised. Without saying anything, Naruto walked out of the room to let Hinata change. Can you leave the room while I change? He said. She could clearly feel that he was bothered by something. Is Ino still bothered by what transpired with his team yesterday? Pulling on her shoulders and putting her hair up, Hinata pondered. I wouldn't be shocked. She rushed to get dressed and virtually sprinted out of the room to join Naruto, who was resting against the wall, because she wanted to know what was wrong. You ready to go? Hinata fell into step and said, yes, let's go. Naruto simply strolled silently next to her without saying anything. Is everything okay? You usually make small talk as we start on our trip again. Oh. Yeah. Guess I do. But I'm impatient to get home. That's all. Let's just get our mission done, Naruto gasped. Hinata objected to his negative attitude. He occasionally took a while to wake up, but when he did, he was never in a foul mood. He was normally in a pleasant mood, if not little drowsy, and didn't snap at others. He behaved with the same frantic goofiness as when he was just a genin. Hinata's words trailed off, right. As they walked out of the inn, she glanced at his back. Everyone retreated from him because of the atmosphere that his manor created around him. Her first impression of Naruto was one of the coldest. Naruto gritted his teeth and remained silent. Is yesterday still bothering you? I would understand. I just want to know what is bothering you. At last, Naruto slowed his speed and said, yeah. Hinata gave him a close look and said, It did bother me a lot. But that'll pass. It didn't feel quite right. We'll get through this together, Hinata assured him, taking his arm. Then I'll just be there for you when I can. Now keeping up with him, she smiled and said, lead on, big brother. There was silence throughout the day. The strangely detached expression on Naruto's face remained icy. This was not at all like Naruto. The Naruto she was familiar with would attempt to pretend to smile and dismiss this as insignificant. But instead of being so pessimistic, he would continue to be hopeful and driven. Then she worried if he was still bothered by his injuries. Although Sakura had completely cured his ankle, she had let his burns to heal naturally because they were largely healed by the time they departed. Is there any way he could disturb them again? More worried than ever, Hinata inquired, are your injuries bothering you? It's okay to admit that. Naruto screamed, I'm fine, following a period of quiet. Hinata interrupted, saying, stop worrying about me so much. Honestly, you treat me as if I'm a child. What is it now? Come on. Hinata obstinately shook her head. She said, not until you tell me what's wrong. This isn't like you. I'm not moving until we get this solved, or at least understood. As a genin, Naruto had never been patient. However, he had gradually matured and gained patience over the years. Because he still tended to think too simply and favor physical force over strategy, Sakura had repeatedly branded him a blockhead and an idiot, but that had also evolved over time. When he eventually retook the Chunin exam, he demonstrated a great deal of patience and intelligence. Since she and Kiba had been his interim exam team, Hinata had personally witnessed this. However, he has long since overcome the propensity to suppress his feelings to the point of exploding like this. Either this wasn't Naruto, or he was truly disturbed by the recent development. She turned on her Byakugan and scanned her surroundings. This was not the truth. A genjutsu was used here. She was caught in the act. My problem is you. Naruto erupted. Hinata maintained her composure. Who knew what might be happening? She would not be taken by surprise. You lag behind and take your time on such an important mission, and then waste more time on trying to find out what's wrong. It's annoying. I thought I could trust you with how important this is to me. I knew I should have undertaken this alone. Hinata's face became ferocious. She drew a kunai and took a ready stance, asking simply, who are you? Naruto sneered. What are you talking about? You know who I am, now put that away and come on. We still have to finish this mission sometimes in the next century. I said, who are you? Asked Hinata. Naruto let out a sigh. Fine, where did you take me to train? With a look of disbelief on his face, Naruto said, train? We haven't trained recently. Wrong answer, said Hinata. Back home, where did we train? Think. In Konoha of course, responded Naruto hastily, satisfied? Simply put, you aren't my friend, Hinata stated. Naruto gave her a foolish look. She sprinted toward him, prepared to strike. He used his own kunai to block her. Naruto said, what's your frickin' problem? With rage. We're teammates, so why are you making groundless accusations and attacking me? You aren't my friend. Hinata pushed him away and demanded. She gestured with her hands. Kai, nothing was different. She frantically glanced around. With an irritated look, Naruto pondered. Content now? Hinata remained silent and concentrated all of her chakra into a single outburst, saying, we've wasted enough time. Now come on. He turned to go, saying, okay, I'll leave you behind. Follow up when you regain consciousness. Kai! Hinata exclaimed again, and the force of her yell sent the birds flying into the air. They weren't real. She was aware of what was happening. Naruto wasn't there. Her surroundings were also phony. It turned out to be a genjutsu. And she would no longer be fooled by it. Since Naruto and Hinata were siblings, they had a room together. The fact that they slept in the same room was totally okay. They needed to maintain appearances. As they lay down in their separate beds, his heart rate increased. To him, Hinata was much more than just a female. She was considerably more than that. But he would have to control it until the mission was over. They were siblings, Mariko and Darun, until they returned to Konoha safely. Convincing Heishi Hyuga to accept him was not something he was looking forward to. It's likely that he had guys lining up to marry Hinata. She was the oldest daughter, after all. The right to rule the entire Hyuga clan was partially inherited by whoever married her. The Hyuga clan's pride, haughtiness, and ideology were things he didn't particularly enjoy. Hinata wasn't content there either. For his angel's sake, he was prepared to do almost anything. He shook himself from his thoughts, though. That was an issue for a different time. A few rooms down, he heard a soft melody emanating from a flute. As he kept himself awake, Naruto pondered, a musician. They had no idea who their opponents were or how close they were, even though they were now in an inn. Hinata was unaware that he was monitoring their circumstances. Given that he had taken the first watch yesterday, she would insist on doing it first if she did. Up until a few minutes into the flute tune, everything was okay. A strange chakra was attempting to infiltrate Naruto's system. He grasped it immediately. This ninja was clearly aiming for the genjutsu user who was located directly across the corridor from them. Naruto leapt from his bed and sprinted over to join Hinata. He gave her a shoulder shake. "Hey, wake up," hissed Naruto. He didn't want to attract the attention of the inn's civilian patrons. "Wake up. There's an enemy," Naruto said, flicking on the lamp and turning to face Hinata. Her hand made a jerky motion, vaguely forming the hand sign required to break free from genjutsu, and her fair countenance was worried. "Crap," swore Naruto. The genjutsu had Hinata captive. Since he had strengthened his resistance from genjutsu, knowing it was one of his weaknesses, he had avoided falling victim to it. If he knew it was there, it would take a very strong genjutsu to trap him. Although Hinata used a little genjutsu and possibly some ninjutsu, her primary skill was taijutsu. Unlike him, she lacked such protections. This would need to be addressed once he had resolved this. In order to force his chakra into Hinata's system, he focused a charge of chakra into his right palm and pushed it roughly into her shoulder. There are two ways to break a genjutsu, according to Jiraiya, who taught him this when he was alive. An enormous outburst of chakra from within would negate the enemy's technique. Unless someone vanquished the enemy genjutsu user, you were stuck if your chakra wasn't sufficient. Alternatively, the technique would be negated from the outside if someone else pushed an equivalently big amount of chakra into the victim's chakra circulatory system. However, that wasn't functioning either. With a curse, Naruto called forth several toads and 4 shadow clones. He was lucky. A big blue and orange toad that was skilled at cloaking and defense was one of his favorite toad summons, and it was one of the ones that had shown up. He gave the command, "Protect Hinata." The summons and clones nodded rapidly, taking defensive positions around her. "There's a genjutsu user nearby and I can't break her out of it. I'm going to defeat that enemy." However, he first caused one of his clones to be defeated by the genjutsu. Tora, the expert in defense and cloaking, hurried over to Naruto and yelled, "Wait, boss." He gave Naruto a single limb smack, and Naruto felt the well-known invisibility genjutsu slide across his body. "This will hold until you attack." Naruto answered, "Thanks, Tora," feeling relieved that he had been acquainted with a large number of the toads in the ethereal valley where they all resided unless they were called upon. Tora nodded and went back to his defensive stance, saying, "I owe you one." Naruto followed the flute's sound outside in the hall until he located its source. It was a room across the hall and 3 doors down. Sneaking out onto the roof, Naruto got down to the window where the genjutsu user was sitting. Inside the room, a solitary woman sat on the bed and calmly played a gentle tune on the flute while keeping her eyes closed. There was a pleased look on her face. Although she didn't appear particularly strong, Naruto was aware that appearances don't always reflect strength. The woman, dressed in leggings and a black tunic, had wild flame red hair. In her hands, nimble fingers moved over the metal windpipe instrument. He would make this brief and straightforward. He opened the window just enough to let himself in without making a sound. Not even the genjutsu user noticed. Or, if she did, she showed no indication that she noticed. He was working under the presumption she knew. This might also be a genjutsu, of course, so he was ready for anything. "I know you're there, boy," the woman said in a whisper. Her eyes opened. He flinched at the sight of flame-red eyes meeting his own. She stood up and a bunch of shuriken came at him. "Come here to protect your girlfriend. She's not much fun to torture. She has too much faith in you. Will you provide a more interesting time to me?" she asked. Naruto pulled out a kunai and avoided them all. More were hurled at him, but he slid beneath the woman's extended arm and intercepted them all with the kunai. It was one of his unique chakra metal kunai. He passed chakra through it. As he pulled it down, the air whistled. On the flute, not on the woman. With a gentle thump, the 2 parts of the flute fell to bed after being neatly cut in half. With her weapon gone, she froze. After pushing the astonished woman onto her back and putting his kunai at her pale throat, Naruto asked, "Who are you and who sent you?" His rage radiated from his face as he said, "This was too easy. Now answer my question and no lies." Stuttering, I'm Rina," she said. "I was sent by Sirahajin to find you and take you to her. My orders were to kill anyone with you." Rina gulped and nodded. "Are you alone?" This Sirahajin, is she married? And with child, answered Rina. Naruto gave an understandable nod. Naruto screamed, "What's her maiden name?" The woman gasped, N. Namikaze, after hesitating to respond. Naruto had pressed his kunai against her flesh, causing her to bleed. "Please, don't kill me." "No worries, I won't kill you," Naruto reaffirmed. Rina appeared to be relieved. "But neither am I falling for your weak and defenseless act. I'm sending you somewhere nice and safe, where you'll tell the prison warden exactly what he wants to know." Naruto gestured with his hands. Rina's eyes widened as she was taken to a prison designed specifically for this jutsu. Hidoya Hansu no Jutsu, prison transport jutsu. I'm using random terms from the Japanese English dictionary, adding no jutsu at the end. Please pardon me if I get it incorrectly. She would be a lot of fun for Hibiki Morino, the torturer. Note from the author. Before anyone inquires or brings it up in a review or private message, I did base Rina on Stephanie Meyer's Victoria from the Twilight book series. For heaven's sake, I have Twilight dog tags, the movie, and every book. Soon, I'll also be receiving the movie's albums and Twilight stickers. Yes, I am a Twilight fan, and Victoria's character seemed ideal for this part. Just so you know, I do not own Twilight, the Twilight characters, or anything related to that book series. That concludes the Twilight disclaimer. However, my Rina is not quite as resilient as Twilight's Victoria. She is not a vampire, but a ninja. XD. Hinata was awake and shaky when Naruto made his way back to his room the traditional way. The clones and summoned toads stood still around her. Naruto, glad that Hinata was no longer under the jutsu, questioned, "Hinata, are you okay? Rina didn't cause you any problems, did she?" "I'm fine," assured him Hinata. He thanked the toads and sent them back, and his shadow clones also disappeared. "I'm sorry I got caught in it though. I'm going to teach you the defense I learned against genjutsu," Naruto promised her. "That'll help you a lot. Out of curiosity, what did she show you? If you don't mind me asking." Quickly summarizing, "She appeared as you," Hinata said. "You weren't yourself at all. I could see right through it. You said that I was only dragging you down and that I was a hindrance. You even threatened to leave me behind. Either she likes causing people pain or she wasn't very strong, or smart." Naruto took a seat. "I think it's a bit of everything you just said. It was really easy stopping her and she answered all my questions truthfully. Even if I have had strong teachers who pushed me further than I would have thought possible, she was not much of a challenge." "So you know who sent her then?" Hinata blurted out. Naruto gave a nod. "My father's sister, Sirahajin. She's with child. They know who we are." Naruto murmured. As Hinata laughed, she said, "This is so bothersome." Hinata grinned knowingly and said, "Go back to sleep. I'll keep watch. I'm too keyed up to sleep." Hinata lay back down and said, "Okay. Wake me up in a few hours to take your place. You need sleep too." Naruto looked to Hinata and said, "Got it." Hinata laughed and closed her eyes as Naruto extinguished the lamp again. "Oh, I want you to know one thing right here and now. You have never been a hindrance, before now and now. Of all the people at home, I trust you the most. And I would never leave you behind. So don't you ever worry about that. Now get to sleep." Not attempting to suppress the flush, she let it out. As her face flushed and her heart raced, she had no idea that Naruto, sitting across the room with his back to her, was also flushed and his heart was beating as quickly as hers. The following morning, when the two Konoha nin descended in disguise, the inn was a flurry of activity. Hinata was moving independently, using the railing to guide her as she descended the stairs gradually. Everyone grew hushed as they walked to the dining room. Someone said, "Oh, we know it's not them." As their meal was delivered, the conversation gradually became more lively. Naruto questioned the server, "What did they think we did?" "Oh, it happened last night," the girl who served added. "One of our guests just upped and vanished. She left all of her things behind even. There's already speculation that she, a known ninja, was taken out by her enemies. But there's not even a body left to prove this. Everyone thinks you had something to do with it just because you're ninja. May I ask what village you're from?" Hinata informed him, "We don't have a home village." The girl's face brightened with realization as she said, "We're only wandering ninja." She grinned and said, "That's why our headbands are blank." Hinata shook her head, saying, "Must be lonely." Hinata assured her, not for 1 second, with pride, "We don't need much. As for company, my big brother here is more than enough." They were informed, "It's obvious you two are close. You're really lucky to have such a brother. There are many people who would do almost anything to have such caring family. That's one reason why you can't possibly be the one who was involved with last night's incident. No one who could be that caring and supportive could possibly kill a person in cold blood. Besides, since you guys are wanderers, that means you don't have any sworn enemy villages. The young lady smiled broadly and left the group. After a speedy breakfast, they left a big tip at the table and left. Hinata had a broad smile on her face the entire time. They engaged in casual banter throughout the morning. Up until about lunchtime, it was unbroken. A voice yelled, "Watch out!" Just as Naruto looked up, he saw a column of fire coming down toward them. With a loud curse, he seized Hinata by the waist and leapt aside. The earth they had just been standing on was charred and blackened as they rolled a few times before coming to a stop. Naruto patted out Hinata's blazing hair and said, "Mariko, stay still." Whatever the flame was, it soon destroyed everything it came into contact with. Her hair had already been destroyed from the bottom up to her shoulders. With the bandages coming off, Hinata nodded and said, "Your hair is damaged. I'll have to fix it later." She heard footsteps coming toward them and buried her face in Naruto's shoulder, gasping. Whimpering, "Brother, my bandages came off." Hinata seemed to be alarmed. Naruto understood. A young man hurried up to them and said, "I'm so sorry. I'm a ninja from Emerald Valley. I was practicing a new fire jutsu I learned over nearby and lost control of it. Are you two okay?" Naruto gave him a serious look. He had blue eyes and dark red hair, and he was roughly Naruto's age. His own clothing was charred. "Did I burn your face? I'm sorry." "Oh, what to do?" "She's hiding her face because she's still very shy about people seeing the scars from the accident a year ago," Naruto said. He cast a disgusted glance down at Hinata's ruined hair. The man seemed terribly bad as Hinata blushed. "You damaged her hair. It took her a long time to grow it out like that. I'll have to cut it. And that was one of her best features too. It made my cute little sister even cuter." "I have a camp nearby," the man replied in an attempt to patch things up. "You can cut her there with some scissors I have with my things. I promise not to look at her face. Again, I'm really sorry. He definitely had a fit. Gah, I really screwed up this time. If there's anything else to do to make this up, let me know." Naruto conceded. The use of scissors is sufficient for the time being. He took out a kunai and quickly swiped it, catching the falling hair, saying, "But we'll do a rough cut of the damaged hair now." At her shoulders, Hinata's hair suddenly ended in a sharp ridge. He reached inside his thigh pouch and took out some bandages, which he used to cover Hinata's eyes once more. He helped her stand up. "Where's your camp at?" he said, this way, as he led them through the forest. At the moment, there was no fire pit in the middle of the camp. He hurried over to find the scissors in a bag leaning against one of the trees. He picked up a short fishing pole and walked to the neighboring pond a few feet away, keeping his back to them, saying, "I'll also go catch us some fish for lunch while you trim her hair. It's the least I can do." Naruto inquired, removing the bandages from her eyes, "Do you trust me? You just need a trim." Hinata agreed, "I cut my own hair all the time." As Naruto swiftly worked the scissors to restore some order to Hinata's hair, she thought to herself, "I can trust him with this." Naruto finished swiftly in an effort to reduce the possibility that anyone would recognize Hinata's eyes for what they were. He could see that they were by themselves. However, he refused to take any chances. He put the bandages back on Hinata's eyes. "I saved it all to your shoulders," Naruto said with a smile. Hinata shook her head nay, saying, "Would you like shorter? Now's the time to ask." Now that a significant portion of her hair was gone, her head felt strangely lighter. Hinata said, "I'm sure it looks great," as she felt for her hair. "I'm just glad it was my hair and not anything else." Naruto teased her by saying, "Well, our clothes are nice and black now." She felt cold water touch her face, followed by gentle rubbing motions as Naruto cleaned her face. "It's good thing we have extra clothes. Our skin also has some dark spots on it. Here, I'll get yours off since you can't see your face in a mirror." As this was happening, Hinata thought, "I'm going to be spoiled rotten by the time this mission ends," though she wasn't totally opposed to the idea. He must watch it even when we return home, or else he will continue to behave in this manner. Though he remained silent, Hinata could see a puzzled look on Naruto's face through the bandages, and this notion made him smile a little. Naruto stated, "I'm going to start a fire. He'll need it to cook. Normally I would say he just use a fire jutsu, but I think we've seen enough of his experience with fire jutsus before stepping aside and lighting a fire." As he urged the fire to come alive, a gentle grinding sound permeated the room. The fire was hot enough to cook on by the time their host came back with a line full of fish. "I'll help clean the fish," offered Naruto. Before long, the trio was enjoying grilled fish. When Naruto heard the man's name, he looked twice. Naruto barely kept his fish in his mouth as he said, "The name's Kazuya. Kazuya Uzumaki. It's nice to meet you. I'm sorry. I've never met a blind person. So if I offend you in some way, shape, or form, I apologize now. It's not intentional." Hinata said, "I'm Mariko," getting his last name as well. "Please, don't feel bad about my hair. It was about time for a cut anyway. My brother is Darun. We forgive him, right? As for offending me because I can't see, don't worry about it." "Yeah, he's forgiven," Naruto, grinning, remarked. "Just promise me to work on your control." Kazuya responded, "I promise," as Naruto threw Hinata's broken hair into the flames. "So, you two look to be wandering ninja. Are you two going about anything specific?" Naruto informed him, "We're searching for our father. Our latest lead says he was last seen in Emerald Valley. We're heading there now." "Emerald Valley?" Kazuya inquired, barely thinking. "I live there, along with my family. I have a pretty good memory. Describe your dad. I'll tell you if I've seen him. If not, I'll take you to my parents. They know everything that goes on in the valley." Naruto was sweating. Naruto and Hinata were yet to agree on a description of their presumed father. Naruto made it up as he went along. According to our mother's description, really tall," he started. "Dark brown, almost black hair, like Mariko's. Eyes the exact same color as mine. He's known for drinking heavily and sleeping around, though he calls himself a ninja. He probably has a ton of kids he hasn't claimed responsibility for out there. We're both his children, born to different mothers. I was raised by Mariko's mom. Can you think of anything else, Mariko?" Hinata nodded, taking a minute to consider it. "That sounds about right," she said. When Kazuya heard this, she became empathetic. "Mom also said something about him being an expert in, I think, genjutsu. But I can't be sure. It's been 6 months since she passed on and told us." Kazuya questioned, "So what, you're trying to find him and make him take responsibility then?" Naruto frowned and muttered, "Nah. We don't need him." Naruto had seen the letter that Hinata and Sakura had prepared to present to Dad, but he added, "We have each other. But it was our mother's last wish that we find him and deliver a letter to him. After this we won't have anything to do with him." Naruto felt like throwing up after only the first few phrases since it was so incredibly sweet. Kazuya meekly said, "Well, I can't say I've seen him, but if anyone would know, my parents would. Tell you what, if you're willing to wait until the morning to set out, I can show you two a shortcut through the river about 10 miles off. It'll get us to Emerald Valley within 8 hours. It's a bit rough, because we go on the fastest current in the entire river, but it's a time saver." He laughed. "What do you say? I have room for 2 more in my boat." After observing his body language, Naruto concluded that his offer was genuine. Hinata sighed and asked, "What do you say, Mariko? Shall we accept? I don't think he's trying to employ his own agenda. Can we see this river on a map?" Kazuya pulled a map out. Naruto was informed by Kazuya that, "This is my usual training spot," indicating the black X off the main road. He kept drawing the route with his finger. "Which is where we are now. If we go 10 miles further up the road and off a side road," he said. "It takes us to a small little inlet connected to a big river. The river is one of Emerald Valley power sources and sources of income. With enough experience, one can navigate the tricky currents and cut days off of travel time to the valley, since it's a fast straight shot instead of slow walking or running through various, curvy roads." "It can cut off days?" asked Hinata. After nodding, Kazuya recalled that Hinata was meant to be blind. "Yes, it can. I've been traveling these currents for 5 years, so I know them like the back of my own hand." "I don't see a problem with this," Naruto remarked. "I say we do it, Mariko?" Hinata answered, "Yes, let's," with optimism. Sunade let out an impatient sigh. "Please, surely something must be left. He's my nephew. Had I known I would have been here." That morning, Sira Hajin, of all persons, had entered her office and begged to view Naruto's body. For the final time, Sunade remarked, "Listen, ma'am, I can't help you." With her long blonde hair frizzed out from pent up worry, Sira Hajin moaned. Sira regarded Sunade with suspicion. "If I could, I would. But his body was completely incinerated. If it hadn't been in the attack, we would have done so anyway." Sira sat back in her chair with one hand on her large stomach and fired off an angry question. "In that case, wouldn't his nearest family be contacted? I'm his aunt. Why would you destroy his body? You should have left his burial up to me." Sunade tried to remain patient as she stated, "It's standard procedure. For ninja, they could be used against their village even after death. Though their hearts no longer beat, the technical details of some jutsus are recorded within their physical bodies. If our enemies got a hold of the bodies of ninja, they could learn things about our village through our jutsus. It's better for everyone if the bodies are cremated, even if they knew no such jutsus. I got some sake for this, Shizune. Sunade pondered bitterly. For heaven's sake, she ought to be more knowledgeable about ninja. Ninjas are her brother and nephew. Her parents were ninjas, too. Sharply, Sira asked, and there was no will? I know that he knew about me. His teacher approached me, saying he was looking into his student's unknown family. Sunade muttered, you didn't know Naruto, while feigning sadness. He was fiercely independent and strong-willed. He's gotten by this whole time almost completely on his own. I know he looked into his family, but I think he just wanted closure. He had no identity, his parents not known until recently. Naruto wanted to know for his own sanity. He wanted to know that he didn't pop out of nowhere. Naruto wouldn't have wanted to grow dependent on anyone, not after forging through on his own for so long. Besides, Naruto didn't think enough to have a will prepared. Sira inquired, he was 20, right? Tsunade gave a nod. Tsunade bowed once more and wished Naruto would hurry up and come home, saying, such a young age to die at. This charade may then end. Sira groaned and got to her feet. Well, thank you for your time. I won't bother you anymore, she replied. It was difficult to get up because her stomach stretched out quite a bit. Tsunade wished, please, take care. Knowing that her hunt was far from done, Sira vowed to take it easy and go home, saying, this stress can't be good for your baby. I'm a medical ninja, so I know. Go home and rest, take it easy, for your baby's sake. As Kazuya drew the long rowboat to a stop, it bumped against the rocky coast. As he went out, drenched, he was smiling foolishly. Hinata and Naruto were also drenched. Fortunately, before they departed, Sakura and Kakashi had considered getting the two water-proof backpacks. Although the journey over the river had been difficult and disorderly, it had brought them much closer to Emerald Valley. As they hurried through the water, Naruto recognized the location on his map. Naruto muttered, come on, and dragged Hinata away from the boat. She tripped and collided with him. You okay? Hinata reassured, yep, fine, and stood alone. After saying, welcome to Emerald Valley, Kazuya threw Naruto their bags behind the boat, which had been tied down with his own. Let's go to my house. We can get dried off and eat there. Then we can ask my parents if they've seen your father. However, there were some things that remained constant. Even with his development, Naruto occasionally had unexpected bad luck. As he stepped forward, a child's ball rolled in his direction. He nearly brought Hinata down with him as his foot struck the top of the ball and he fell on his back. Naruto cried out, Gah! As he collapsed. They all halted their activities as they noticed a gold object fly from Naruto's neck. When Naruto saw this, he made an effort to capture it. Someone else, a slim woman with cerulean blue eyes and blazing red hair, caught it instead. Pictures up, the locket fell open in her hands. After seeing the images, she gave Naruto a curious glance. In silence, Naruto met her eyes and begged her not to speak yet. Without saying anything, she returned it to him. Well, let's get to the house, she murmured, obliviously. After we eat a meal together, we can talk about why you came here. The man accompanying her pulled Naruto to his feet, saying, I wouldn't want you guys in those wet clothes for too long. She gave Naruto a knowing smile. My name is Toki Uzumaki. This is my husband Ryochi. Telling her, I'm Darun. Naruto accepted Ryochi's assistance. And this is my sister, Mariko. It's nice to meet you. They strolled through the bustling town. It looked incredibly wealthy and successful. Parents were happy to let their children to run freely in the streets. They were led to the baths after entering a spacious home. Ryochi seems taken aback by Hinata's apparent self-sufficiency. She stated that the only assistance she needed to run her bath was someone to move her hands to the faucet. After that, they all got together again for dinner. Ryochi brought over the lasagna he had prepared and asked, so, what brings you all the way to Emerald Valley? It's very out of the way. So you must have come here with a purpose. With a casual, we're searching for some family, Naruto remarked, now craving for ramen. He hadn't had any in a few days, so he was taken aback by how quickly and smoothly the task was proceeding. He had a gut feeling that something would go awry soon. We have leads that tell us the family we seek has been seen here. Kazuya said he hadn't seen him, so we were hoping someone here might have. Ah, yes, Ryochi retracted his bangs. We heard from Kazuya you seek your father. Regretfully we've never seen him either, but we'll ask around for you. With a command, Ryochi dear, entertain the guests, Toki said. I need to go give our dessert some time to thaw before we eat it. I forgot to pull it out while you were cooking dinner. Mom, is everything okay? Kazuya inquired worriedly. It looks like you've had something on your mind. It's not like you to forget. I'm fine, the confident Toki said. Walking into the kitchen, she said, completely fine. Don't concern yourself with me. Toki returned to the spacious dining room after hearing a bang from the kitchen. Darun, I'm sorry to bother you, but could you come help me? You're a tall young man with some muscle on your bones. After saying, of course, Naruto stood up and trailed Toki into the kitchen. Broken china were scattered across the floor, but Toki ignored them. Before continuing, she listened to ensure that Hinata and her family were momentarily preoccupied. Her hands behind her back, she asked softly, that family portrait in your locket, can you tell me more about it? I'm sure you noticed that the woman in the picture looked exactly like me. Naruto gave a nod. Your name's not Darun, is it? And your sister is not Mariko. She's not even related to you at all, is she? Naruto informed her, no, you're exactly right, my name is Naruto. I'm on a secret mission of potentially vital importance. The person I seek is not my father. In fact, I know my father to be dead, along with my mother. Toki was unable to say anything. The person is my aunt. I only know her last name, which is mine as well. You know it well. Toki grinned. Uzumaki, she said in a tremulous murmur. She extended a silver chain with a clear gem at the end to Naruto after taking it from around her own neck. The clear gem turned a violently vivid orange, and Naruto took it, gasping. I knew it. I just knew it. As soon as I saw you arrive with my son. My brother.in.law left that with me when he left his will for you here, saying it would confirm your identity. All he has to do is touch it, he said. If it's my son, it'll change color. She removed a tear and came closer to him. I'm sorry I was never there. I knew you were alive. But your parents begged me to stay here, so Minato's will could be kept safe. So that someday, you could learn the truth. Unbidden tears filled her eyes, and she embraced Naruto tightly. Naruto didn't resist the embrace, letting Toki release a lot of bottled up feelings. I'm so sorry. But this was all I could for you, so that someday you could come into your proper inheritance. I wanted to be there. I did. Please know that. I'm so sorry. I'm not mad, Naruto assured her. She barely relaxed her hold on him. He released Toki from his embrace and returned her jewelry, saying, the fact that you did all of this shows that you really do care. All that matters is that you no longer have to wait. She gave a headshake. That was my sister's, she clarified. Minato got her an engagement necklace, not a ring. She would have wanted you to have that. Tonight I'll give you the will. My family knows of the situation with my sister. So if you would like, you could drop the act within this house. It's safe. I think Hinata would like that, Naruto remarked. Toki led the way to the dining room and said, let's go tell them. As he ran to his mother's side, Kazuya questioned, Mom, why are you crying? With a knowing glance at Naruto, Toki nodded. Naruto declared with pride, Hinata, it's time to drop the act for now. They know everything. Hinata nodded and said, this is her. Kazuya looked at Naruto and Hinata before turning back to Toki and asking in confusion, what's going on? Isn't her name Mariko? Kazuya exclaimed, Kazuya, this is my nephew, your cousin, Naruto Uzumaki. Though I don't know Hinata personally. Hinata removed the bandages, revealing her eyes. My name is Hinata Hyuga. I grew up with Naruto and have liked him for a long time now. I've been helping Naruto find this place in you, because it's important to him. I'm sorry for the deception, but this was deemed necessary by our Hokage, because we don't know exactly what his father will contains. She quickly gave a bow. Naruto was the one blushing now. Returning to her former role, she gave him a sultry smile. Ryochi said with joy, this calls for a celebration. He lifted his glass and said, to think that my nephew has come and declared himself. As everyone else raised their glasses, Naruto and Hinata turned the reddest red one had ever seen on a human face. To open it up, I propose a toast. To family and budding love, they said. When it came to blushing over Naruto, Hinata was going above and above. Kazuya approached Naruto and struck up a conversation. Now that the truth was out, the two young men started to get along because they were so similar. Ryochi and Hinata started interacting. With his loved ones by his side, Naruto was totally engrossed in the joyous atmosphere. Toki darted in and out of it, admiring the wonderful young man her nephew had grown into. Suddenly, Kazuya said, Hey, Naruto, do you like ramen? Kazuya's suspicion was confirmed when Naruto's eyes brightened. Come on. Kazuya happily opened a cupboard as they dashed to the kitchen. Instant ramen filled it. At this, Naruto literally started to drool. With a fit of laughter, Kazuya took out several cups of it. The two were joyfully slurping the noodles at the kitchen counter in a matter of minutes. They were both smiling, their faces lighted up with crazy smiles. Naruto remarked, "Ah, it's been days since I've had ramen," as he was currently in ramen nirvana. Kazuya gave his cousin a sympathetic shoulder pat while feigning a startled gasp. "Seriously, you just saved my life. I owe you one." "No prob," Kazuya happily informed him. Choking on his ramen, Naruto blanched and asked, "So, how far have you gone with Hinata?" Kazuya cleared Naruto's throat by giving him a back pat. Hinata sat beside Ryochi in the dining room. "Hinata, I'm presuming you know Naruto well." Yes, hinted Hinata. I do. Why do you ask?" With gloomy eyes, Ryochi pondered, would Naruto like to have family with him in Konoha? Toki has said on many occasions that once Naruto came, she would like to move to his home to stay near him. We're the only Uzumakis here. And Toki regrets leaving him alone all this time. I can understand him a lot. I too was an orphan. I didn't even have a last name. That's why I have my wife's last name. Hinata answered him, "I think Naruto would like that," with a faint smile teasing her lips. He said on the way here he wanted to stay here for a little while to get to know you guys. Or at least make plans to come back. But he wouldn't want you guys to put yourselves at an inconvenience for his sake. I think that it's enough that you three exist and he knows he has a history now. You really do love him, Toki murmured as she approached. Naruto was the one who has always been there for me. Even when my own family doesn't entirely understand me, he does. He encourages me, sees what I am really feeling. He understands me better than anyone. No one else can compare to him. Even when the rest of my world is completely dark, he's the light shining in the darkness, offering me a helping hand to bring me back to the light, Hinata said with a blush. My entire family gave up on me, but he didn't. Leaning on his strength, I've become truly strong and am now forging my own. And my family is beginning to see that. Ryochi and Toki put their hands in one another's and grinned passionately. From the kitchen, Kazuya said, "Naruto, breathe." Naruto was choking on ramen as everyone rushed into the kitchen. As Naruto was able to swallow the ramen and breathe again, Hinata let out a sigh and relaxed. "Geez, I only asked how far you had gone with Hinata." Hinata thought she was about to faint when her heart skipped a beat. She fainted, so Naruto threw his ramen on the ground and jumped to catch her. N. Naruto, she said, escaping before she was completely unconscious in his embrace. With the now orange stone that had been his father's engagement present to his mother in his hands, Naruto sat on the bed in the room Toki Uzumaki had set up for him. The corner of the room had his suitcase. A few minutes after fainting in Naruto's embrace, Hinata had regained consciousness. Toki then drew Naruto aside to show him the will that Minato Namikaze had left her. Your father used a jutsu to record a personal message to you in the crystal now in your possession. When you get some alone time, break the seal with your blood. Naruto was currently in his room getting ready to do just that. He allowed the blood to drip upon the crystal after biting his thumb. A holographic image appeared after the crystal briefly clouded over. A miniature fourth Hokage hovered over the gem. And the little picture started talking. Toki Uzumaki, my sister.in.law, through my wife Kushina, and Jiraiya, my former Junin sensei and my son Naruto's appointed godfather, have witnessed this will and testament, which is the final will and testament of Minato Namikaze, fourth Hokage of Konoha, to my only child and son Naruto. They will ensure that this will is carried out in the event of my death. First and foremost, I apologize to Naruto if he is receiving this. He has likely endured a lot to receive it. I knew that sealing the nine-tailed fox into you would probably result in my death. I left my will with your Aunt Toki, who loves you despite never having seen you. Please don't hate her. This, along with your potentially painful life, is entirely my fault. I can't trust the Council of Konoha to deliver this to you when the time is right, so it's safe to say that I've earned every ounce of your hatred should you hate me. Regarding the reason you adopted your mother's last name, I have a lot of enemies, and if they learned about you, they would pursue you without being able to get in touch with me. My life has always been consumed by duty, a duty to myself, duty to your mother, duty to my home. I had been planning to change that, to give you the father you deserve, but it looks like I won't get the chance. The nine-tailed fox is destroying our world, just days before you were born. Naruto, my beloved son, my precious child. I regret that I can't show you my love in person. I'm so sorry for sealing the demon into you, but I had no right to force someone else to make the sacrifice I was unwilling to make myself. Until my time comes, I can only show you my love through this will. My estate here in Konoha, which I built myself, has everything you need to enter, along with other important documents. It's a fairly large house, with several facilities that I'm sure you will come to appreciate should you become a ninja. I can only hope that it protects you in every way I am failing to protect you now. Until then, I can only leave you my physical belongings, with the exception of the items in one special room, which I will explain later. In addition to this house, there is a vast sum of money in a bank. Make good use of it. I can only leave my life savings to you because I cannot raise you and provide for your needs through my own labors now and throughout your life. If you decide to accept it, you will possess everything in the Namikaze manor, including the house, the money, and every single item, even the tiniest nail in the wall. The jutsu I use to record my will in this crystal can only function for a limited time. So my time is short to record this for you. I wish I had more time. Know that I love you, and always will. In my absence, I hope you live a happy life, filled to the brim with the things that complete you. Should any doubt arise, bring this to the current Hokage. I won't presume to predict who will be in charge when you get this. Know that with you my love and regret rests. I've left another crystal with your aunt. Please see that my little sister Sira gets it. It's sealed so that only she can unlock the message within. We haven't talked in years. The last thing said in between us was a violent argument when we were teenagers. There's a room in the manor for her and her alone. See that gets the things in the room get into her hands. And convey to her my regrets, that I'm sorry. Again, I am sorry. I hope you all can forgive me. Send my greetings to Toki and her family as well. Kazuya should be born around the same time as you. I hope you find that special someone someday, that one person that completes your heart. I have my blessing in advance for your relationship with her. I trust your judgment. Goodbye, Naruto. I wish you luck with your life, and I send my dearest love. I've done everything I can for you. I hope it's enough. And that this fully tells you that I do love you. Though I've probably failed miserably. Oh, and never give up on love. If you forget everything else, remember that love is the key. Meeting your mother made my life complete. Kushina is the love of my life. She looks forward to raising you with great fervor. This brings an end to Minato Namikaze's last will and testament. He was the fourth Hokage of Konoha, the husband of Kushina Uzumaki, and the proud father of Naruto Namikaze, also known as Naruto Uzumaki. The picture vanished, and a hazy red and silver tint began to permeate the jewel. Naruto gripped the jewel tightly. I knew it, Naruto said in a victorious whisper. He removed the locket his mother had left him and weighed it in his hands with the other pendant, saying, he loved me. So did my mother. They loved me. He had the priceless legacy of his family. And he would always treasure them. He shut out the lamp with a satisfied smile and lay down with his hands clasped tightly around them. Naruto closed his eyes and thought, Dad, I don't hate you. Conversely, I adore you. Having you as my father fills me with pride. Perhaps I'll be able to emulate you in the future. I hope you're content wherever you are right now. As well as Mom. You as well. Perhaps I'll see you both again in the future. He thought he might have sensed hands caressing his hair as he fell asleep. Grinning, he fell asleep. When Naruto opened his eyes, he was remarkably alert and happy. As soon as he saw what he was holding, he recalled why. He curled his fingers delicately around the necklaces. Since it was the safest place for them for now, he put them both on. But he didn't really care in his heart. They clash horribly with my outfit, and they're a bit feminine. He would have worn the tiara with pride if his father had kept it there. He wouldn't wear them for very long. He would have a special box created for them once he returned to Konoha, one that, if possible, would last for centuries. Unsurprised to see the rest of the family up, he left the room while humming a soft little tune. Hinata also took a seat at the table. As he walked in, everyone glanced up. He sat down and said, Aunt Toki, good morning, with a pleasant greeting. Hinata looked at him inquisitively. He smiled back at her, enigmatic. Uncle Ryochi, Kazuya. And of course you Hinata. Determined not to blush, Hinata turned her head shyly away. Good morning, she said, gathering her courage and turning back to face him. He smiled, the intensity of the look making his whisker lines stand out more. You're certainly in a good mood. I take it you slept well. Toki persisted, Naruto, here, take some breakfast, and gave him a plate full of food. I'm going with you back to Konoha, at least for a little while. That way no one can doubt what it's your father will. I know, Naruto interrupted politely. Toki nodded politely in response, saying, you were one of the witnesses. Hinata turned to face him, her eyes bewildered, and continued, my father sends his greetings. To you and your family. He said that in his message to me. But we can't go back to Konoha. Not yet. My father left a message behind for his sister, my Aunt Sira. He wants me to make sure she gets it, as well as what he left her. We'll have to bring her to Konoha. Do you have that as well? Inquired his aunt. When Toki said, no, but I know where it is, wherever he left the rest of things for her. The message was left with that stuff. I wish we had the ability to track her down, but this is only a normal village. Maybe we go to Konoha as Mariko and Darin and ask Sunade Sama to help us find her. Said Hinata. We can ask Ino to get us in to see her, since she thinks we're looking for our father. Naruto remarked, you're right, as he began to devour his breakfast. Ino's an apprentice to Sunade. We can also ask Sakura and Kakashi Sensei to get us in. They know who we really are. But we'll have to be really careful in Konoha. We, or at least I, can't be recognized. Why is that? Inquired Kazuya. Isn't Konoha your home? They think I'm dead. We weren't sure what to expect, so we used a chance when I got badly injured in a fight to fake my death and start this mission. Kazuya almost choked this time. After his father repeatedly slapped him on the back, he rasped, isn't that a bit extreme? Not really. Sira Hajin had been the one who hired the person to attack and injure me in the first place. It was a golden opportunity to slip through her clutches, Naruto said to his cousin. The blonde continued to gobble off his meal, saying, he wasn't supposed to kill me though. Besides, I'm usually an extreme type of guy. It's all or nothing most of the time. It's true, hinted Hinata plaintively. She said with a quiet laugh that sounded like a gentle bell, he's always been a little chaotic. At that comment, Naruto gave her another smile and said, but that's just a part of who he is. Toki remarked, well then, if that's your choice, the similarities between the aunt and nephew became apparent at once. I'm still going with you. Until we get this situation with your inheritance straightened out, I'm sticking with you. I've waited on the sidelines long enough. It was obvious to all that these two were linked. Their faces were similar in shape, and they both had that determined look in their eyes. It was almost obvious from their manners that the two were related. Naruto responded, well, alright, if you want, with a gleam in his eyes. But you'll have to find a way to fit in with our scheme. Can we count on you? You bet, swore Toki. When we go see your Hokage, I'll let my blood fall on the crystal. According to your father, it'll activate the recorded message I put on there to prove that I was witness. Until then, consider me the worried but kind lady who didn't want two young people traveling alone. AKA chaperone, Kazuya teasingly pointed out. Naruto scowled playfully as he turned to face his cousin. Everyone laughed when he said, even though we all know you wouldn't do anything to Hinata. Let us help you plan then. Family sticks together, right mom? Toki gave a nod. Naruto, I promise, I won't let you be alone again. Before they left the house, Ryochi gave them all hugs. Toki, he said, stay safe and come home to us. He looked over at Naruto. As for you, I wish you luck. We may not be related by blood, but I love you just the same. Be sure to take care of your lady. May you both reach home quickly and be free to be yourselves. He wrapped his arms around Naruto and Hinata. Hinata sighed and covered her eyes. Naruto, when we get home and we reveal ourselves, let's go sightseeing or something. You have no idea how annoying walking around like this is. Naruto laughed. Of course, Naruto smiled and said to her. Hinata nodded, attempting to hide a bright smile. We'll go on a grand tour and not miss a single sight. Does that sound good? She asked. I'll come visit soon, Kazuya said and would. The two lads gave one another big smiles and gave each other hugs. I've been looking for an excuse to visit Konoha. When I do come, you had better take me to this Ichiraku's place. That ramen sounds delicious. Seriously, be careful. We would hate to lose my family so soon after we found it. But don't expect such a wishy-washy greetings as a hug. We are men after all. Of course, swore Naruto. The three of them departed the house with a wave, pretending to be Mariko, Darun, and their new traveling companion Toki, who would be ensuring the two young people arrived home safely. I look forward to the visit. See you around. Now that their fictitious letter had been delivered, they were going back to their lives and cleaning their hands of their father. Hinata remarked regretfully, I can't wait to get home. Struggling to recall the public relations they were meant to be doing, Naruto nodded. Darun and Mariko weren't a relationship. They were siblings. Furthermore, because neither had denied preferring the other. Naruto reflected, I'm confident I can persuade Heishi Hyuga to allow me to date Hinata in peace now that I have a name, and a strong one. And I'm confident he'll let me try to court her if she really is such a worthless daughter in her eyes. With me, she would undoubtedly be happier. But after this mission is finished, I'll ask her privately. Regardless of how poorly she gets along with her own family, I don't want to cause her any discomfort. Yeah, nice and quiet home, Naruto said with the same longing. After that one inside joke, he laughed. With characters such as Naruto and Konohamaru present, Konoha was anything from peaceful. He felt the two necklaces hanging on his neck as his hand moved there. He would see to it that they were safe. He would pass them on to his family as heirlooms if he had his way. Toki had been told by Naruto and Hinata what they were wearing as a disguise. She was dressed differently now, wearing a knee-length, dark green dress with a golden belt wrapped at the waist. Halfway up her leg, it was cut, exposing bandages that were common among their generation. She appeared youthful enough to belong to their generation. Since she was also a ninja, this outfit was very different from the short black leggings and scarlet top she wore when she wasn't on a mission. When Toki said, "Now don't you two think that we'll be taking the long way," she meant it. I've lived in this little valley ever since our home village was destroyed. I've been traveling in this area and know tons of shortcuts. Once we get a bit closer, I'll need you two to lead the way. But in the meantime, follow my lead. Toki took care not to reveal any secrets. Yup, Naruto said, contentedly. He was so near to starting the process of creating his and Hinata's happiness, if she accepted, as this dreaded task was almost finished. His prospects for the future were improving. Toki virtually sung, "Well, let's get you two home," as they headed for the main road. Naruto and Hinata came next. In actuality, Toki Uzumaki knew the neighborhood surrounding her house extremely well. It felt like the journey back to Konoha went by quickly. When Toki's field of expertise disappeared, Naruto and Hinata took over. In order to keep from being seen for who they truly were, the two Konoha nin quickly lowered their act as the gates of Konoha came into view. They were permitted entry to Konoha after informing the guards that they were merely traveling through. At last, they were at home. That afternoon, Sakura, Ino, and Shikamaru were sharing a bowl of ramen. And then, Ino said, referring to an issue her family was currently experiencing with their flower shop. Then Shikamaru interrupted her. Shikamaru remarked languidly, "Isn't that Mariko and Darun?" That's when Ino began. Since Sakura was aware that Mariko and Darun might also be other people, she was able to keep everything a secret. Their names were widely used. Mariko. Darun. Angrily exclaimed Ino, leaping from her chair. "Did you find your father?" Sakura asked, turning slowly around and fighting the want to smile. Naruto and Hinata were having a conversation. However, she didn't identify the person who was with them. Naruto remarked, "Oh, we found him," when he saw Sakura. "We delivered the letter and are going home now. But we need to talk to your Hokage first. We were hoping you could introduce us to someone who could get us in to see her. It's very important." Ino said, "I'll speak with Sunade Sama on your behalf. I'm one of the trainee medic nins under her. So is Sakura here. Sakura, help me get these two in to see Sunade Sama, will you?" Sakura readily said, "Sure," as Naruto's tummy rumbled. "How about some ramen first though? I would like to hear your story." Ino pulled them to the ramen stand and ordered 3 additional bowls of ramen. "Darun, who's your friend? She wasn't with you the last time we saw you two," she said. "I'm Toki," Toki blurted out. While Ino was preoccupied with chatting to Toki, Sakura gave Naruto a curious glance. "I was worried about these two traveling alone. They're still so young. I've been traveling with him for a few days now and will continue to do until they are home and safe." He cleared his throat and replied with his gaze. Pretending to be new to the area, Mariko engaged Sakura in conversation. After a hasty meal of ramen, the 5 made their way to Tsunade's office. Sakura and Ino were ordered to remain. Tsunade said, "Darun, with your permission?" Naruto gave a nod. "Ino, you're being sworn to secrecy for a little while. Is that understood? You have a right to know now." Ino raised an eyebrow. She said, "Well then, how did it go?" to Naruto. The words, "complete success, Tsunade.ba-chan," were spoken by Naruto. At that honorific, Ino gasped. Grinning, he turned to face Ino and displayed the green crystal necklace he had received from Tsunade so many years prior. "That's right. Hinata and I have been on a top-secret mission. During the last mission, I almost did die and it was a perfect chance to set this mission underway." Hinata smiled as she opened her eyes. He faced Tsunade once more. "I need to talk to my aunt. Do you know where she is?" "Aunt?" stumbled Ino. Then Naruto corrected himself. Well, my other aunt, Sakura grinned and said, Aunt Toki is right behind me. Sunade informed him, Sira Hajin is still in town, but first you try to escape her and now you want to see her. What's going on? It was my father's will. He left something for her. He asked me in his will to see that she got it. And I will. Ino was now truly perplexed. I know it's confusing at first. Long story short, my father left a will for me with my mother's sister. We didn't know what to expect, so we took no chances. I'm not alone as I thought when it came to my family. I have on my mother's side an aunt, uncle, and cousin. And my father's side has a bit of family as well. Unbidden tears welled up in Ino's eyes. Ino comprehended, that's why Sunade Sama was always saying she was forgetting to add your name to the memorial rock, and gasped. Hinata put a hand on her shoulder and said, You weren't really dead. You were on a mission. And here I sat crying for you, you idiot. Hinata told her, I had the same reaction until Naruto recruited me for the mission, with pleasure. Sunade Sama, can you please get word to my father that I'm back? It would look funny if Darun here suddenly was without his sister, it would be bad. As a big brother, he's very overprotective. Sunade laughed out loud. Sakura, since you know everything, please go tell Heishi Hyuga that Hinata will be home in a few hours, Sunade asked. You knew? Ino yelled at her rival, partner. Sakura walked out of the room after nodding. Who else was in on it? Kakashi. Sensei, Tsunade. Chan, and I think Shizune may know a little. I'm not sure, Naruto said. Oh, Aunt Toki was witness to the will. We have a way to confirm it. Ino was pleased to see that Naruto was still easily distracted. Show me the proof, stated Tsunade. He took his mother's jewelry from around his neck and gave it to Toki. In a manner similar to drawing blood to call forth something, Toki took it, set it down on Tsunade's desk, and bit her thumb to extract blood. An additional hologram emerged from the crystal when a single drop struck the dazzling diamond. I am Toki Uzumaki, twin sister to Kushina Uzumaki, the wife of Minato Namikaze. Hereby I witness the will contained within this necklace to my nephew Naruto. Everything inside it is true and to be enforced to the letter. Until the day he comes to get this will, I will safeguard the documents, deeds, and key to the Namikaze manor, along with everything else he needs to inherit the inheritance that is rightfully his. This is my witness, true and proper. Toki laughed and stated, Wow, I was a lot younger then, as the hologram disappeared. Naruto, would you like to go see your house? Sounds good, Tsunade concurred, speaking for Naruto. Ino, please find Kakashi and drag him in here. Use my name if you must, but don't tell him why, only that I need to see him. As you should know, no one is to know these two are back yet. Ino walked out of the room with an inquisitive eyes. I want details later, Ino jokingly threatened. To guide them to the Namikaze manor, Shizune was called in. Once your return is official, we'll talk freely. In a few short hours, Naruto's heritage would be revealed, and the two Konoha nin would be allowed to be themselves. Until then, they followed Shizune while posing as Mariko and Darun once more. Toki took on the persona of an anxious grown-up. They had always been able to see the manor, since nobody could enter and no one was ever observed leaving or coming in. Everyone at the time had questioned who owned it. It stood out in the community, and many prospective Hokage had remarked that the location would be ideal for the leader's residence. Some had even attempted to have the council designated the Hokage's legitimate residence. However, it had failed, and no explanation was provided. As they walked to the front door, Toki gave her nephew a silver key. She whispered, Welcome home, as Naruto entered with Hinata on his arm after unlocking the door. As Hinata entered Naruto's new house and undid her bandages, she exclaimed, Wow! It was obviously dusty everywhere. However, there was no denying the place's magnificence. There are two oak tables on either side of the door in the large entry hall. There was a big door at the very end of the room. With assurance, Naruto approached it and turned the doorknob, revealing a spacious living area. All of the furniture was covered with sheets of clear plastic. An entertainment center, 2 or 3 huge couches, and 2 comfortable-looking recliners. In addition, there were pictures above the brick fireplace and on the walls. Clearly, it wasn't lit. In any event, the painting above the fireplace was the focus of their attention. Naruto walked over and exclaimed, That's my mom, in amazement. A tall blonde man stood behind a stunning red-haired woman who was seated in one of the chairs. He was fiddling with her long hair absently. They were standing in the same living room in the backdrop. Hinata informed Naruto that both of his parents had stunning blue eyes. Your looks are from your father though. When we were younger, You did look like a child-sized version of the fourth Hokage. A lot of people thought that. Arrow. Sennin did always say I reminded him of his former student, Naruto remembered. He said that both my looks and stubbornness made him think that. Do you think he knew? He may have, she said. If he did, there must have been a good reason for not telling you. No doubt, said Naruto. He was probably thinking about my safety. If we think it through, maybe he didn't want anyone knowing. It was well known he had a lot of enemies. If they would have found out he had a child, they may have gone after me, being unable to get at him. Everything I know about my parents would suggest this. Hey, let's go look around some more. I want to fund my Aunt Sira's room. I would like to get her here as soon as possible, so we can solve this. Among those they found were 2 sealed compartments. The first was the master bedroom, which served as both his parents' private sanctuary. In reality, a room off of that one was a nursery, with white and blue dot copyright core. He understood with a heartbreaking ache that his mother Kushina must have meant for him to occupy this room until he was old enough to sleep independently of her. He unlocked the drawers of the room's dresser and removed a plastic sheet. They were stocked with infant clothing and nightgowns. With regret, Naruto spoke the words, "If only my mother had lived." Hinata placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder and grinned broadly. She would have been an amazing mother. Any child would have been proud to claim her as mom. Sorry. Being a soft-hearted idiot, aren't I? Hinata retorted, no, you're acting properly. I would just like to be here for you. That's all. Naruto returned her grin. A room with a dark crimson door guarded the second room. It was pronounced as Sira Namikaze's on a nameplate on the door. Without attempting to open it, they both mentally noted the door. When Sira came by, Naruto did glance at the spot where she had to spill her blood to unseal it. After thoroughly inspecting the residence, Naruto declared, Hinata, I'm going to summon some clones to help me clean up this place. Hinata said, okay. I'll help, Naruto said, no, to her. He called forth some clones and prepared some cleaning materials, saying, you're my guest. I know you can't go home yet, but neither can I make you work. Despite everything, Hinata came over and took some. Hinata asked, and I'm just supposed to do nothing while you work? She gave a headshake. She took some clones to another area to clean it, saying, not happening. I'm going to help you. You spoiled me on this mission and I have to get out of that behavior. Naruto grinned and simply shook his head. There was definitely a bit of a spunk about the girl he adored. That was undeniable. Then he began using some of his clones to tidy the living room. A few hours later, Sunade informed him and Hinata that the regular council meeting was about to begin, and they waited to be allowed entry to the council room. As they waited, their hands inadvertently moved closer to one another's. Compared to Naruto, Hinata was more anxious. We have one new overwhelming order of business to discuss, Sunade declared. They heard but were unable to see. Hello, Heishi Hyuga said. Sunade. Sama, what are you talking about? Hinata tightened her hold on Naruto's hand. Naruto looked directly at Hinata and said, leave this to me, in a quiet voice. Hinata nodded and withdrew her hand from Naruto's, saying, I have a plan. Just let me do my thing. I mean, something urgent has come up. Konoha will never be the same after this day, Sunade replied to the commander of the Hyuga. Many council members gasped when they heard the statement. The fourth's only living descendant has shown up to claim what's rightfully his. I oversaw everything myself. He's the real thing. Sunade, snarled Danzo. Finally, old age was catching up with him. The fourth died childless. We all know that. I say it's time we seize the Namikaze estates and officially make the Hokage's home. There was no doubt in Sunade's voice as she said, wrong. As you all know, he had many enemies. His child was never told until recently about his parentage and he was given his mother's last name to protect him until he was old enough to fully protect himself. Calmly, and who do you claim as the fourth's heir? Inoichi Yamanaki inquired. Naruto Uzumaki, Sunade said with confidence. He faked his death to retrieve his father's will, which was left in the hands of his aunt, Toki Uzumaki. Hinata Hyuga accompanied him, at his request and my approval. This can't be. Danzo croaked unintelligibly. All of the fourth's possessions were left in the hands of the council to take care of. Are you saying the Jinchuriki is now the owner of the mansion on the hill? I won't accept this. I encourage the council to also do likewise. Toki Uzumaki had been in the council room, but no one had noticed yet. Toki yelled, seemingly getting to her feet, you won't touch a single thing of my nephew's. Instead, my brother.in.law knew you would hate and despise Naruto just for what he had inside him. He knew the people of Konoha would do everything they could to make his life a living hell. So he left the will with me. The only person who actually cared about him. You will not discredit his will and you will not pull such an injustice on Naruto. Danzo retorted, if you cared about him, why were you never there? Naruto had a smile on his face. Everything was being handled by his aunt. The room became silent like a bomb. Where were you hiding? Let me guess. You were ashamed to have a demon for a nephew, she said. Inoichi yelled, that's out of order, as a slamming sound reached Naruto and Hinata. Naruto Uzumaki may be a Jinchuriki. But we all know he is not a demon. We have seen proof of that on so many occasions. If Sunade Sama says Naruto is his heir, then I for one believe her. Look at the fourth's picture. Naruto is a splitting image of the fourth. No one can deny what we see with our eyes. I agree, said Heishi Hyuga. Everyone agreed, saying, Sunade Sama, please call them both in. Let's hear his words. He entered without waiting for Tsunade's order, with Hinata following closely behind. Hinata bowed and said, good afternoon, father, with respect. Heishi shocked everyone by grinning and bowing back, saying, I apologize for leaving without telling you. However, Naruto asked for me personally on this mission and there was no time to tell anyone. We were under orders to not say goodbye anyway. Hinata in particular, who was the most perplexed of them all. When Naruto stated, I too apologize for that, he didn't bow, but he did show respect by saying, but I knew without a doubt Hinata was to be my partner for this mission. There was no other. As for my mansion, I have already moved in. We cleaned it while Sunade prepared for this council meeting. If anyone has doubts, they can be sure to approach me and I will show them all the proof they need. The will is recorded via a jutsu. All I need to do is drop a little of my blood onto the crystal. Toki Uzumaki, my aunt, was witness, and a drop of her blood can prove that as well. Naruto, would you be willing to answer a few questions? Heishi responded. Of course, said Naruto. What would you know? If I can answer it, I will. Tell us of your mother. We found no records of any Uzumakis living here before you, Heishi asked. Naruto laughed. Naruto told the council, you would be hard pressed to, while grinning foxy. My mother was Kushina Uzumaki. She's the daughter of the leader of the fallen Whirlpool village. And as you know, dead. I was born as the nine-tailed fox attacked. The attack caused stress, which produced complications in the delivery. She died shortly after naming me. My father then took me, a newborn baby, and sealed it into me. He did not feel it right to ask another mother or father to make a sacrifice he himself was unwilling to make. Danzo was startled into silence as well. Heishi then said, my daughter, was she of help to you? Hinata appeared terrified that her father's meager display of respect would suddenly be taken away. Naruto reported with a broad smile, I would be lying if I said otherwise. Without her, I don't think it would have gone nearly as well. She has quite the talent, in more ways than one. There could have been no better partner for this mission. And for that, I thank her now. Hinata started blushing wildly. I move we accept this, suggested Heishi. Naruto's succession has my blessing. And the Yamanaka clan approves as well, Inoichi added in support of the statement. According to Shibi Aburame, the Aburame family does as well. With pride, Shikaku stated, as does the Nara clan, Naruto has turned to be an excellent ninja. We'll have to watch him carefully now, just to see how high he climbs. Sume Inuzuka speaks for her entire clan when she agrees. As does the Akamichi clan. Everyone save Danzo gave their blessing one by one. Naruto's gaze widened. It was easier than he had anticipated, but it was taking place here. Danzo stormed out of the chambers as quickly as his aging body would allow. So it's approved, claimed Sunade. Let it be known that the fourth has an heir and is to be treated justly. Naruto, just to show them your goodwill, let us see the will. I've already seen it once. After removing the diamond necklace, Naruto drew blood by biting his thumb. The hologram of his father materialized and talked. He offered it to his aunt when it was done. With a smile, Toki fulfilled her part. Aunt Toki, if you could please do your part. The room echoed with his aunt's voice. Shizune was the only one to break the enigmatic aura. She entered and spoke softly into Tsunade's ear. Tsunade said, Naruto, and walked away. Sira Hajin has been found and told of the situation. She's on her way here now. Heishi Hyuga sat down at the table next to him and looked curiously at the newly appointed successor. Hinata took the chair next to him. He appeared to be quite happy to wait quietly while Sira Hajin arrived. After 5 minutes of silence, the door opened again. A blonde young woman who was clearly late in her pregnancy was led into the room by Kakashi. Naruto got to his feet. The greeting was, "Sira Hajin, I presume," Naruto said. "I'm so glad you came. My father left you something. I don't know what it is, but I would like to make sure you get it. It's at the house my father left me." In a low voice, Sira remarked, "You look just like my brother." Naruto nodded and asked, "You say he left me something?" She started to take a step but stopped and clutched her stomach, saying, "Then let's go." Everybody froze. Sunade appeared prepared to act quickly. "Sorry. My baby has quite a kick. Makes it hard to move at time." She laughed. "We have a lot to talk about." After politely offering his aunt his arm, Naruto started to assist her in leaving the room. As they left hearing range, the remainder of their conversation was lost. "It's no problem. And we do have a lot to talk about. Are you familiar with blood seals? It's what you'll need to break with just a drop of your blood to see what he left you." Heishi walked over to his daughter and touched her shoulder. "We too need to talk," Heishi stated. Heishi and Hinata then departed, saying, "Let's go home first though. This is family business." Through the streets of Konoha, they made their way. When Hinata arrived home from what they believed to be a routine mission, everyone waved to her. She gave a half-hearted wave in return. The topic her father wanted to discuss made her a little nervous. He opened the door when they arrived at the Hyuga compound. Hanabi saw her big sister and gave her a modest wave from the front porch. They paused in the private quarters of the family. Hinata sat down on a cushion after dropping her bag to the ground. Heishi requested that some tea be brought and took a seat across from her. Heishi took a sip when they were served and started talking. "I've been thinking." Hinata asked. "May I ask about what?" "Your future," Heishi sternly informed her. Hinata swallowed. "I was quite shocked to hear that you were requested for such a top secret mission. It made me start to think I've been a little harsh. I was raising you the way I was raised. But you're not me. Speak honestly. What would you like you for your future?" Hinata began, twitching her thumbs. "Well, I would like to pass down my position as heir to Hanabi." "And why is that?" "See, I know I wouldn't make a good head of the family. I'm not serious enough. It's a part of my personality, not a lack of skill. Hanabi is much more suited to the position than I am," explained Hinata. "I'm just too soft-hearted. It would take a lot to mold me into a proper future leader, and you've already begun training Hanabi to be heir." "It seems prematurely," Heishi remarked, grinning slightly. "You've changed. But tell me, I know you're being honest, but there's another reason, isn't there?" "It's Naruto," Hinata admitted to her father while cast a sulky glance at her knees. "I'm desperately in love with him. He's always been there to encourage me. During this mission with him, I realized he shares the same feelings. I rarely even stutter now, only after such a short time with him. But he won't press it. He doesn't want to cause me any problems with my family. He knows how my relationship with the family is already strained." "I see," thought Heishi. "You bring up valid points. Hanabi has already begun to adapt well to the training. You take more after your mother while she's more like me." Mother?" Hinata squeaked out. "I barely even remember her." "Your mother was a free spirit. She was very shy, just like you. She didn't have your confidence problem. That's because of my mistake with you. I see her in you now more than ever. As head of this clan, I'm supposed to not approve of, even forbid, relationships outside the clan. I would prefer you choose someone who has the Byakugan at his command as your romantic partner. But now I am not speaking as head of the clan." Heishi leaned over and touched his daughter's pale cheek with his big hand. "As your father, I want you to choose someone you'll be truly happy with," Heishi stated to her. Hinata let out a gasp. "If it's someone outside the clan, well, I can't help that. You don't do flings. Love does not operate in the logic of man's ways. Consider yourself warned." Heishi grinned. Hinata's eyes started to well up with tears as she said, "Spend as much time with him as you like. I'll only object if it puts you in danger, whether it be physical or emotional." With a start, Hinata said, I can stay with Naruto? No one will raise any objections, of course, if he does ask me out. He hasn't taken any action yet. The other elders will most likely," thought Heishi. "But they aren't the one in charge. They act only as advisors. If I say you can see someone outside the clan, you will just leave them to me. I can honestly say I warned you. Your mother's free spirit is showing up. I couldn't control her, not that I wanted to, and I can't control you." "Thank you," cried Hinata. "You have no idea how much this means to me. No idea." Heishi told his eldest daughter, "Tonight I will have a private dinner with you, and we will talk. Get to truly know each other. I'll learn what I need to learn to make you happy and keep this clan running well. Are you agreeable?" "Yes, sounds fun," revealed Hinata candidly. Heishi gave her a hand up and said, but I would like to go freshen up first. I've been on the road a while. Maybe I be excused? She smiled as she walked out of the room, feeling more connected to her father than she had in years. Thank you. I'll be back in time for dinner. The joyful news she had just heard had her heart bouncing with excitement. Naruto would be permitted to see her. She was already making plans in her head to see Naruto tomorrow. She knew he and his aunt would need some time, but she still wanted to go tonight. Naruto approached his door accompanied by his aunt. He led her to the living room after unlocking the door. Given how worn out she was from the journey, Naruto asked, "Would you like to take a break?" Sakura said, "If I could get something to drink?" Sunade and Toki had trailed behind. With regret, Naruto remarked, "I don't have anything in the house yet, I just moved in literally a few hours ago." Toki held out a half-full water bottle and said, "Here, some water I have left, with kindness." "That's all I have." Sakura said, "Thank you," with gratitude, disregarding the backwash. "Why are you being so kind? I tried to have you killed, and you're all being totally nice to me. Shouldn't you be at least mad? Something other than nice." "People change," said Naruto plainly. Toki dug into her bag and took out a fiery red crystal. "Besides, it's obvious you're willing to talk in the light of new circumstances. We aren't unreasonable people. Also, my father wanted to make sure you got what he left you." "Aunt Toki, do you happen to have the crystal he left for her on you?" Toki asked. Sakura grinned. "Red remains my favorite color," Sakura said, laughing. "When we were children, he always picked me red flowers and made a bouquet." Naruto questioned his aunt, "Aunt Sakura, why did you and my father not get along?" "When we were younger, I always felt left out," Sakura started to say. "Our parents were ninjas, and he was the unnatural ninja. As well as a perfect son. Minato could no wrong, and my parents were so proud of my do.no. Wrong older brother. Everyone expected me to be like him, since we were siblings. But I didn't want to be a ninja, like everyone was expecting of me. I knew I wasn't cut out to be one. I liked gardening and interior decoration. My parents freaked out when I came of age to begin academy and I refused to go. Minato even tried to step in for me, saying I was free to make my choice. In the end, my parents had no choice but to accept my choice, though they refused to come around, even until they died 3 years. I took over the family, since Minato was dead too." Naruto said, "I'm sorry, I can't imagine how that would feel. Some people just aren't cut out for ninja careers. Some are dead set on it. But we can't all be ninja." Sakura's curiosity was clear as she asked, "Naruto, why are you a ninja? You weren't forced into being one, were you?" Naruto chuckled uncontrollably. "No, in fact, people were dead set against me becoming one. They complained about it for a long time. But my determination won out over their complaints. My goal is to become the Hokage. To prove everyone wrong. They said I would amount to nothing. But I'll shove it all in their faces when I become Hokage. Just wait and see. I'll show them all just how wrong they were." Sakura wished. "When that day comes, I hope we can speak freely," she said. Naruto's weary face brightened as he said, "I regret what I did. Truly I do. Can you ever forgive me? If you can't, I understand. But I would like to be a part of your life." "Believe it," swore Naruto. Sakura's joyful expression changed to one of pain when she heard the words, "Consider it all past and forgotten. What's wrong?" Sakura groaned, "My water just broke." This was the last thing Sunade had been prepared for. "My baby is about to be born. We need a doctor." She was in control in an instant. Sunade yelled, "Naruto, get me water, rags, and blankets," and Sakura Hajin lay down on the couch with her legs resting on the coffee table. Naruto chose to optimize the clones, and he did just that. She had the items in a matter of minutes after she said, "You heard her. Get the things she needs, double time it." Toki helped her. Naruto, meanwhile, was ceremoniously ejected from the room. He now waited for his cousin's birth outside in the foyer. Apparently, there was a lot of activity in the living room. Sunade was talking Sakura through the birth while giving orders quickly. It was her first birth, apparently. She repeatedly cursed the unpredictability of pregnancy and the absence of a suitable set of supplies. She couldn't be taken to a hospital in time. It was clear Sakura was in a lot of pain. As Sunade's unplanned helper, Toki was doing what she could and attempting to talk to Sakura in order to help divert attention from the pain wherever she could. Naruto laughed when he saw how his family was getting bigger every day. An orphan first. 2 aunts followed. One of them had a child already, and they were both married. The second was going to give birth to a newborn. He was half shocked already. All he had desired was to inherit the assets and property that were his by birthright. Rather, he was recently appointed his father's successor by the council. Was he supposed to rebuild the family, then? He let out a moan. For someone his age, his mind was far too busy. He had no idea how much time had gone by. The clocks on the walls were broken, and he had no watch. He hadn't gotten around to replacing their batteries, which had been dead for years. But at last, he was summoned. Trying to be as silent as possible, Naruto opened the door slowly. Sira Hajin was now propped up on pillows on the couch, comfortably resting. In her arms was a squalling child. Sira said, "Naruto, come see your cousin," as he approached. Luckily we had already decided upon names. Naruto glanced at his relative. The newborn had wispy blonde hair, but he was still unsure of the gender, which was typically indicated by blanket colors. He saw glimpses of smoky green when the eyes were open, which was not often. Wondering, boy or girl? Naruto asked. Girl, Sira said with pride. The newly named Natalin stopped crying and gazed up at Naruto with curiosity. Drool bubbling on her tiny little lips. Natalin Sakurai Hajin. Meet your cousin Naruto. Would you like to hold her? Quickly, Naruto questioned, is it safe? Sira chuckled softly, she looks so tiny and I've never held a baby. What if I hurt her? Toki said, sit down and I'll teach you how, with warmth. Sunade carried the baby over after she placed his arms in a supportive position. She glanced at her cousin again and cooed. It was impossible for Naruto not to smile. Natalin slowly accepted the finger he extended for the infant to grasp. Naruto said, you sure are pretty, as a compliment. She let out a gurgle. Natalin began to cry, and he handed her back to Sira, saying, I bet you that your mommy will love the daylights out of you. Sunade asked Sira, I would like you to come to the hospital, you and Natalin need proper care and attention now. Naruto, would you help me take your aunt and cousin to the hospital? Of course, said Naruto hastily. He picked Sira up after Sunade instructed him to wrap her in a fresh blanket. The much more seasoned one, Sunade, held Natalin. They were soon at home, with Natalin sleeping in her mother's room on a cozy bed. Sira was worn out from giving birth. As Naruto left her and went back to his house to assist Toki in cleaning the now untidy living room, she fell asleep. He stayed with him at his house that evening and they had a simple dinner. He left early the following morning to pay his aunt and new cousin another visit. Around 10, Hinata stopped by. She had such a joyful expression. Toki said, ah, Naruto's not here, with regret. Sira's baby decided it was time to come out and she was born in Naruto's living room last night. He's at the hospital now visiting them. With excitement, Hinata said, a new baby? I was just about to go visit them about myself, Toki replied. The two women headed to the hospital, where Sira let Hinata in. Would you like to come? I'm sure Sira won't mind. Naruto said, this is Hinata, Aunt Sira. Hinata bowed slightly. Hinata, my aunt. Hinata said, congratulations on your safe birth, while observing Natalin in her sleep. She's such a cutie. No doubt the boys will go crazy for her when she's older. Now see here, little one. Make sure you pick the right one. Your true love is only one in this world. Hopefully you find him someday, she chuckled. When Natalin woke up and started to cry for food, Sira said, you two like each other, don't you? Sira started nursing her. They both became red. Well, we never denied it, Naruto sheepishly admitted. Hinata was reminded of something when she said, but her family is very specific on that matter. I don't want to cause any problems. She exclaimed with excitement, Naruto. Father gave his blessing. Naruto's gaze widened. Naruto smiled and twirled Hinata in the air, saying, as long as I'm happy. He says he'll deal with the Hyuga elders. He won't interfere unless I'm put in danger of being hurt. Naruto put her down on the floor again and said, we can be together freely. It's so awesome. Everyone in the room was happy. Naruto exclaimed, there is nothing that could make this day more ideal. The love of my life happy beside me. My new cousin so healthy and content. And getting along with all my family. What more could I ask for? Reflecting, today is a day for joy, Toki said. In every aspect. And soon my family will be here. Though we'll have to find a place to stay. Naruto protested, what are you talking about? Toki smiled and gave her nephew a hug, saying, you guys can stay with me if you want. It'd be lonely in that big old house by myself. There's plenty of room. Sira said, Naruto. Slowly. Naruto was extremely pleased with this arrangement. We were thinking about moving here too. Would you mind us living in the same town as you? My husband and I will find a private place to stay. We were just thinking about moving anyway. We weren't sure where. Naruto said to her, It would be fantastic if you two lived in Konoha. Natalin sensed the calm atmosphere and reveled in it, cooing even louder, totally amazing. Of course I wouldn't mind. Natalin laughed as Naruto played with her, adding, and of course I can see my new cousin every day. Natalin didn't mind the attention, and Naruto leaned in to admire her. I'm so glad for you, Naruto said. You have a family now. There was no erasing Naruto's foxy smile, and an awesome girlfriend, that is, if Hinata accepts. Hinata exclaimed, do you even need to ask? Of course I'll accept. Naruto said, that's it. I have a plan. As soon as everyone is present, including Aunt Sira's family if they choose to stay here, I'm throwing a party. We'll have all my family, some of yours Hinata. Sorry. You have one big family. We throw some friends in there and we're all set. Food, music, a comfortable setting. It'll be perfect. And I'll help, Hinata offered, beaming brightly. It'll be perfect, just like you said. 3 weeks were spent planning the party. It appears that Kazuya and Ryochi had completed packing by the time Natalin was born, and the following day they began traveling to Konoha. They had to bring both their belongings and Toki's, so it took them a little while to get there. However, they soon came. Going to Ichiraku's was the first thing Kazuya wanted to do when she got there. In all the confusion surrounding his return, Naruto had forgotten all about Ichiraku's, so he was all too happy to make fun of his cousin. As soon as Sira's husband learned of what had transpired in her decision, he packed up and traveled to Konoha alone. For a while, after Natalin was born, no one thought about what her brother had done to her. They were all devoted to Natalin. She seemed to have a fondness for Naruto. Naturally, next to her mother. Her mother could not be replaced. Currently, Naruto's entire family was present at his home. On the food table, Toki and Ryochi were finishing touches. To the blonde's delight, Kazuya and Hinata were arguing over what kind of music to play. Naruto was holding Natalin in his arms as she attempted to seize the vibrantly colored gems that hung from his necks. Sira and her husband Randolph, who lived next door to her nephew, were seated on the couch. In order to play with her, he liked to remove one of them and hang it in front of her, where her tiny hands attempted to grasp it. The game never bored her. Sira remarked, "You'll make a great father someday," while observing Natalin's cooing in response to the orange gem in his hand's reflected light. Hinata struggled with the CDs she had in her hands. Hinata gave Kazuya a playful slap after he laughed at her. "Maybe," said Naruto absently. Natalin was clearly demanding her cousin's undivided attention by pulling on the collar of his shirt. In fact, Natalin smiled, giving her parents the impression that their nephew was already influencing her. "All right, you have my attention." Kazuya reported, "Naruto, you have some people coming up the hill, a large crowd." "That's my cue," Naruto exclaimed joyfully as he gave Sira Natalin. After a brief moment of crying, her mother swiftly placed a pink dummy in her mouth. As he stood there, someone knocked on the front door and he said, "Don't worry. We have our whole lives ahead of us." He was joined by Hinata, who went to greet the guests while holding hands. As they filed in, greetings and lighthearted banter were exchanged. A gentle, subdued party song that was written to avoid drowning out conversations began to play. The music was the point of contention for Hinata. "Naruto, you cunning old dog," Kiba shouted from the other side of the room. Kiba walked through the living room and said, "You were hiding such a heritage all this time." "I didn't know myself," Naruto said, grinning mischievously. "Not until about a month and a half ago. Went from orphan to a big family. Who would have thought?" With Natalin in a sling on her chest, Sira approached. She immediately tried to grab the necklaces when Naruto took his younger cousin in her arms and said, "Naruto, can you hold her a few minutes? I need to use the bathroom. It's much easier without her and she loves you." "Thank you. I'll be right back." Naruto showed Kiba the infant and said, "Natalin, this is Kiba, one of my friends." Kiba gave her a gentle smile and a finger. With a resolute look on her face, Natalin seized it with haste. "Isn't she a cutie?" "Yeah, she is," he gave his consent. "Spunky too. Look at that facial expression. Defiant little one," Natalin laughed. Ino teased, "Oh, I didn't know you had a kid already," as she approached. Naruto merely chuckled. As Hinata spoke to Tenten nearby, her face flushed. She extended her hands in a way that a baby could comprehend, saying, "Is Naruto being nice to you? He'd better be." In response, Natalin tightened her hold on Naruto. Naruto said, "Sorry. She's kinda latched herself onto me," with a pitying expression. Ino laughed. When Sira returned, Natalin returned to her mother, and everyone around them was stunned to see Naruto speaking in baby talk. She loves her cousin Naruto. And cousin Naruto loves her. My, look at that smile, Sakura thought. Isn't cousin Naruto being a good cousin? Natalin chose to yawn after she nuzzled their noses together and raised her daughter into the air. Naruto told her that, we set a room for just this situation, and that if she wanted to sleep, there was a cradle upstairs that was completely furnished with a baby monitor. In this manner, you can still enjoy the party. To sit with her, I could even create a clone. Sakura remarked, that would be beautiful. Could you lead the way? Follow me, Naruto said, leading the way upstairs, where it was much quieter. He opened a door directly off the top of the stairs, and as Sakura settled the sleeping Natalin, Naruto created 2 clones and gave them instructions. If Natalin needed something that Sakura didn't notice on the monitor, one of them was to dispel itself so that Naruto would know what she needed and could get Sakura. They both quietly left the room, and as they returned to the party, Naruto couldn't help but think, Konoha would never be the same to me again.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.